So we're officially live. Candace.
Took you long enough. This is 30 minutes in.
Sit down here with you, talking to you guys about the conversation that I think started with you being on Joe Rogan when you said, hey, I'm offering $300,000. And for the audience watching this, you have to know when you see this final product, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors. There was still communication till midnight, even some of the stuff this morning. Like it's like you're trying to sell a company. It's the last 24 hours that the deal doesn't work out, but kudos to both of you guys that you made it work.
Someone put a fire detector on my screen.
Today, how this got prompted is, Andrew, you said there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And Candace,
yeah, no
your
shit.
position was he's a patsy. Tyler Robinson is a patsy. So, of course, we'll talk about a lot of different things, but that's kind of how the whole thing got started. For the audience watching, I think this is truly for three different people. Number one is anybody out there that loves Charlie, respects Charlie, his legacy, what he did. We have a lot of love and admiration for.
Is it quiet? Okay, I cannot.
Many people, young men, young women. You worked with them for many years. You guys were friends.
Actually, the fight levels sound good. You guys should be hearing it pretty clearly, I'd say.
Disagreed on some things, but yeah, a lot of respect for him.
Oh, that could be one of you guys.
The folks out there, that's watching this, and so for you. You've been wanting something like this to take place, and kudos for Andrew for coming out and saying, hey, I want to have this conversation, and for Candace to accept it. So you have the ability to say, I agree, I disagree, comment, do all the stuff that you're doing online, and if you want to see more of these things, any of the three channels, subscribe to them, The Candace Show, The Crucible, I'm sure some of the people from Crucible are watching as well, and the PBD Podcast. The more you subscribe to this, the more we're able to deliver these types of conversations to you. And last but not least, it's about the two of you. My goal is to speak as little as possible. 99% of the time, it'll be you guys speaking, and the audience will be able to see it. If I jump in, just so everybody knows on the back end, both have agreed. In the back, there's three people representing Andrew and three people representing Candace to do
Celestium's chat. Let her know if her stream volume is good.
Makes a claim, the other can say, can we fact check this? I can jump in and say fact check this. Even the folks in the
bickering on Twitter between these two was
it is a very fair conversation that we're having here. And so
petty,
was it?
Kudos to Michael Knowles.
Very petty. All the time it was petty.
The last 10 minutes
fun.
Well, especially with Candace, but Andrew was starting to get petty.
Both parties, all three of them here.
That doesn't. Neither surprised me.
Joe Rogan that started this conversation, and he also volunteered. But it ended up being
Andrew did kind of dress up for this one, though, didn't he?
Said Andrew.
Yeah, he did.
Andrew dressed up more than Candace did.
Overwhelming evidence.
To be fair, this is a pretty big leap for him, I'd say, personally, because like these two have a long-standing presence in the sphere.
What I mean by overwhelming is I just find it very convincing. That's I think that's what most people mean when they say overwhelming evidence. So I have a brief opening statement. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was murdered. Many of you already know a lot about the events which occurred after Kirk's death. You remember the ghoulish laughter, celebrations,
what happened
and
to
madness
him.
we saw from leftists all over.
Oh, God, yes.
TikTok invasions, debates,
The strange way it was handled on site.
Of memorials and things like this. Within weeks of Kirk's death, a cottage industry began to form, peddling various alternative theories on how he died. What special interest may have killed him, what nations were involved, and was our own government one of them? Because this was the first nationwide traumatic event.
That conspiracy theories always out there.
The demand for answers was
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but just how far was it? We might never really know.
Israel
No, you never will.
The United States government to murder Charlie Kirk. Within a day or two of Kirk's death, Ian Carroll claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and the conspiracy caught on like wildfire. This theory was built on one misleading piece of evidence. That in his final days, on or around September 8th, Charlie sent a text message reading, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. This was sent in the context of a platforming dispute regarding Tucker Carlson. From this,
but it was real.
And Tucker is going all in on Israel.
Killed Charlie Kirk because he would have successfully opposed the Iranian war. Now, that's a fun theory, and who doesn't like a good, fun conspiracy theory? I like them.
That's just
a
game
no evidence
theory.
that Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk. And if
they did it, we will never know for sure. That's just
exactly
to suggestions.
We will not.
But to date, there hasn't been any.
Every time there's a major tragedy, especially political, there's always, the government did it. Every single one.
And I have the receipts.
To be fair, they admitted involvement in Kennedy's assassination, so
that the left killed him.
Yeah.
No, he didn't come to me a dream and say, Candace Owens betrayed him. That never happened.
My problem with Candace is that she makes it seem that she has like the facts, and we don't even really know who's feeding her this information. So
September 9th, 2020.
Yeah.
you know, unless the government outright says it, or there's a whistleblower,
today,
like you guys
which
said,
is the
we
first
will never
time this
really know.
information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th,
enough
Charlie's security team wrote
reason to believe that
yes,
something's up with how it was handled. It was
enforcement
really
was
weird,
supportive and
but
agreed
we can't know
to,
for sure.
Security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me. That was a message sent September 9th. Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said, that he was worried the left was going to try to kill him.
Yeah.
We'll discuss this more later on in the debate, and maybe I have more never before seen evidence that exposes just how wrong and, in my opinion, idiotic many of these conspiracy theories have been. But that's what happens when you rely on what's called the evidence of the gaps.
See, I don't like his dissing of conspiracy theories there, because like,
what did they make up?
in recent years we found like a lot of strong conspiracy theories were proven true. I mean, COVID lab theory was proven true. Like, you can't be so dismissive. You really can't be so dismissive.
Man.
There's been a lot. The COVID lab theory, the CIA involvement in the JFK assassinations. There's like, what was it? Last year, 2025 was essentially the year of disclosures. Everything was coming out in 2025.
Who has more evidence?
It's weird. Knowing all that's weird. Why is he so dismissive? Like, and why is he so willing to trust the official narrative? That you have to be willing to question that.
Well, some may argue that TPUSA supposedly paid him off for some stuff recently. So
if it was,
the timing is a little strange, but I'm not going to say that he was bought by TPUSA or anything.
It's fair.
We can't know for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
Here, I think the reason why he's saying it's conspiracy theory is where's the evidence to substantiate? I think what he's doing is he's saying until we actually have something substantive, evidence-wise, to substantiate that these conspiracy theories may be possible, that we're not going to give them any oxygen, because then it's going to turn into a spiral situation.
Physical evidence.
Insane. The government would end a supporter if they stop supporting them. And then with Charlie's platform, he had a lot of influence, especially over young people. And that would be a no-go if the conspiracy is true that the government had involvement.
That right there is motive, though. Right there is what it is.
She, on the other hand,
there's motive on that end.
Her theory is merely viable. That is, until I showed her clips in which she said she believed the evidence of her theory, that Tyler Robinson's and Patsy was supported by overwhelming evidence. Only then did she agree to defend that position. Regardless, we're both defending the claim that there's overwhelming evidence on our side, so it's worth defining that term. When I say the evidence against Robinson's overwhelming, all I'm saying is that I mean that as of right now, I find it very convincing. I see almost no evidence at all, only speculation on verified claims and suggestions of things that could merely be hypothetically possible. Dreams, vibes, feelings, things like this. Almost done, by the way. I have no problem defending the state's case and welcome bringing up any challenges.
He may have a completely different personal opinion that he doesn't necessarily want to throw out there. That's more in line with what we have.
For someone to demand,
but we have to go with what we truly have. Again, someone's gonna have to whistle blow big time.
Investigations indistinguishable.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is you have to go with the facts and the evidence that we currently have. And if we start going off on wild conspiracy theories that have no evidence to substantiate it, now you start going down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories with no facts that will take you all over the place and go nowhere and end up giving you nothing.
And it cost me $300,000.
Good point. You can give credence like this is entirely possible. I think it is possible. However, I'm going to defer to what's available right now. There's a difference in how you present your argument versus like, okay, the facts seem to say this, so therefore this is the case. Versus there's a lot of plausible deniability. There's a lot of questionable things that went on.
A personal friendship.
I don't know what to think.
And Charlie.
I think personally, I think what's one of my big problems with Andrew Wilson. He tends to be very definitive in a lot of his stances, whereas he's not willing to leave things kind of up in the air.
These are people who are just trying to generate clicks.
It's kind of like looking at it like an investigator. You work your theories based upon your facts. You can have ideas like, okay, we have the facts that point to this nest, that maybe this could happen or that could happen. And if you can facilitate evidence or facts that will substantiate that postulated theory, then you can go further with it. But if the facts if the facts contradict your postulated theory, then it's not worthwhile to pursue it, because now at that point you are pursuing, effectively speaking, fantasy versus working with facts and evidence that you have to try and come up with the best idea of what occurred.
Not only that, you make your side look like a bunch of idiots. So no one will take you seriously.
But you also have to consider that who we're dealing with when it comes to the federal government, and they're more than willing to fabricate and
think and remember how much he loved Israel.
Adjust evidence to fit their narrative as well.
Who's fighting like a
government lies all the time.
Felt that he needed to come to a little war.
I don't discount that, but think about like when we engage with people in social media and we say, and someone says, oh, this crazy thing happened, or they have this belief of, X current social, political ideology thing, and our immediate comeback is,
any disagreements regarding
where are your facts to back this up? Where is your evidence? That is our immediate question. And so that same thought process should be applied to us as well. That if we are going to postulate something and present it as factual, essentially, we should be prepared to back up that information or back up that stance with facts, unless we are specifically saying, I'm postulating, I don't know if this is true, but it kind of feels like this could be possible. And you're making it clear that you're theorizing and not stating it to be fact.
He had with Charlie. Megyn Kelly then comes out.
I think this is one of those cases where you really shouldn't
Charlie. People then begin
take too hard of a stance.
A reasonable question, which is why are we lying about this?
Stay flexible. Absolutely. I'm all for keeping flexible, keeping an open mind to other ideas, as long as you don't go down that rabbit hole.
After October 7th, it's reasonable that
it was the Hawaiians. Hawaiians did it. Those bastards put pineapple on pizza. They're capable of anything.
Lie after lie after lie. Debunk after
so do the Canadians.
Debunk. Yes, I did.
They're responsible
I had
too.
a dream that Charlie was betrayed. It's not a dream.
And don't
anymore.
forget, we put ketchup on chips.
I look at what the organization has become, the people that they are partnering with, the lies that they are telling, the extraordinary.
I'm sorry.
They're sending out.
I knew that was going to be a deal breaker. I had to, but I felt I couldn't hide it from you.
And it begins to look like a conspiracy. And just as a historical fact, that entire term was created by the CIA to gaslight people after the assassination of JFK. So
this is true.
Exactly one. That makes me nervous. Like calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is essentially saying that they
Pat is asking if we can put on subtitles on the video.
I'm grateful that you came
What
today.
she said right there, calling somebody conspiracy theorist is like gaslighting people against you. She's not entirely wrong about that. Look at all of the quote-unquote conspiracy theorists that have been proven correct in recent years.
I've been demanding not a debate, just an open conversation with Turning Point USA. They should be here. It shouldn't be you in that chair. It should be the person that took Charlie's place. Maybe Erica Kirk, maybe Andrew Colbert. He's a spokesperson.
She's never going to get that. She burned a lot of bridges.
They send us another influencer. So let's see how it goes.
She just called. Wow.
Are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you?
She's saying he's not worth a debate. He's an influencer.
Based on the evidence right now.
Which is kind of disingenuous to her, because like
75.
she started off in kind of the same way, basically. Like the current alternative media sphere
what we've seen
started off as influencers. So it's very not right of her to do that.
Maybe somebody was behind him as a Patsy influencer.
And also, she's coming into this close-minded.
Right. If you said, was he involved that day? As I have consistently said on my platform, I would say
basically
yes,
asked, "Oh,
I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter,
what percentage do you think it is that he did the shooting?
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to all of the evidence that he feels that he has.
Yeah, Andrew said
I think we should pause really fast.
Sure.
We should
she said on a rooftop on Losi that day.
Yeah, I was going to say because I feel like we should have probably paused a little sooner just because they're opening statements and stuff to get an idea of what they were saying, but it's okay. Yeah, I mean, already Candace is throwing shots at Andrew and the way that he presented his side. Yeah. The way he presented his side was without going after her. And I'm not surprised that this early on, she already went after him and saying, TP USA this, TP USA that. She could have waited until after her opening statement.
And she is so butthurt about that.
Oh, yeah.
It kills her credibility. Like, she's already shot herself in the foot, in the leg, in the face, everything.
And not only
in
that,
the past year or so.
Not only that, with her, in terms of she killing off her credibility, is she's saying they sent TPUSA sent an influencer. Andrew has done debates time and again. He's dumpstered on people in debates time and again. TPUSA brought him in to their org specifically to train their people in debating. He's not just like an influencer. He does this for a living. And so not only is that tanking her credibility by her just dismissing him like that when he isn't a very skilled debater, but when the moderator asks, like, what percentage are you at in terms of, do you think that this person actually did shoot Charlie Kirk? Andrew said it's like 75, 80%. And Candace like 0. Which means she is completely closed-minded. She is not, she is off the jump coming into this debate saying, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to change my mind. I am not opening. She's not coming already. She is broadcast. She is not coming into this debate in good faith.
No. Yeah, I can agree with that. She's gone, man. Even before she left Daily Wire, she was out there. He was getting real cuckoo, and that's my stand. She's been a bit out there for a long time, like a long time now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Shall we continue?
We shall.
All right.
Based on the evidence that has been.
Do you think he was shot?
I do not think that Charlie was shot from a 30-06 from
but just shot at all.
I don't know. I think that a projectile hit Charlie, and I'm open to.
Are we? You see, Fauciing it.
But I have not.
I mean, there are some theories that there was an explosive planted.
Can we see maybe if we're gonna
in his neck,
branch to each other.
In his microphone? That's out there. That's too out there for me.
Like the clip-on microphone that was on.
No,
That's a theory,
I saw the video. I saw the raw. I've seen the raw video footage of his assassination. I saw the impact.
Yep.
That level of impact would not come from a little like MacGyvered up firearm built into the microphone. It would not have that enough. The most you could get is like a 22 into there. And I saw the impact. I saw the size of the impact. That was not a small caliber. That was a rifle caliber. When you watch it, you can see the hole. The impact, the way it threw, because when it struck, he actually like seriously jerked back. A small pistol-sized caliber, for anybody who's experienced in either police work or medical, you can be shot by a pistol caliber weapon and not even slow down, and you might not even realize it's happened. That doesn't happen with the rifle. When he was struck, you actually saw him jerk backwards. That only comes from the power of a rifle, not a pistol, not a small caliber.
I'll actually want to see that myself, honestly, to kind of gauge that a little bit, because given where he was hit, because it was in the neck, as I do recall.
People are arguing whether it was an entrance or exit wound and stuff like that. So
that's also fair.
And that potentially there were like drones and stuff like above them that could have potentially,
I don't even know about. But
perhaps.
Given the location of the shot being in the neck, I do believe it was the neck, correct?
Yes, it was.
Given the sensitive area,
side of the neck.
Reaction is probably more likely. Even from a smaller caliber, getting hit in that location could lead to more of a reaction.
It could lead to a reaction of jerking upright, but he jerked like he forcibly jerked like backwards. When he got struck, he actually was physically pushed backwards before he slumped. If it was a personal reaction to being hit, it would have been like the natural reaction would be to kind of jerk upwards and not backwards. It would be, eventually if he had survived, it would be backwards, but it would initially be like up and then backwards. It was straight back when he got hit.
I also heard, apparently there was a shrapnel that got lodged into the concrete where he was. I don't know if a bullet would be capable of that. My brand of autism is not gun autism.
Considering where he got struck, it's entirely possible that the bullet did full penetration and then struck something behind him and then fragmented, because there's very little, it was the side, it wasn't like the center, it was the side of the neck, so it's not like the bullet would have had to travel far through it. So it could have exited him and then impacted on something and then fragmented, and then you'd have the fragments.
Well, I find it odd.
I think we should try to continue the debate at some point. Not saying that we can't talk about this.
Part of the sidewalk that he was on, like the day after.
I think we should try to reel it back in and go back to the debate, because we have a lot to do.
We should. Now we're gonna.
Weird stuff
I could wax
going.
poetic on that, but Celestium's absolutely right. We should keep going.
If
a lot of weird things happen. Let's go.
Establish what we consider the facts of the case to be first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're not sure if he was actually shot. You're open to alternative theories.
He was definitely hit with a projectile of some description. If we're talking about was he shot from a gun, a 30-06, I would say definitively no.
Okay.
It defies common sense to think that he had a Superman neck, and even if he did have a Superman neck, which has been demonstrated. I think actually recently a YouTuber actually set up Spalhalla steel cages and shot it, and it went through. So under no circumstance will I.
So at least not.
Wait, did they say that? Wait, was the round in his neck? Was there no exit wound?
That's what people are in chat are saying. Yeah,
necessarily closing off
no
the avenue that he could have been shot at all.
For a 30-06, that should go through though.
Smaller caliber. Okay. And then
smaller caliber.
There's some things that I'm going to make concessions on that I do think.
Where did they find the round though?
It's such a dumb comment that she made about.
The other thing is
so much
dispute, I think, on the timeline.
The thing is, if it hit and keyholed, it's entirely possible it could have tumbled downwards to be
fragmented through his entire upper body.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
so it probably keyholed as soon as it went through and fragmented, and then once it did that, it didn't have enough velocity to get through.
I know the conversation that I had.
Oh, a soft point. Oh, someone said it was a soft point. Yeah, that would be made a great part.
Some are saying a 30-06 would take his whole neck out.
Yes,
223 probably
No,
do more
it
damage
wouldn't.
than we saw.
His grandparents' home.
No, it
did
wouldn't.
he give you an unedited copy of that receipt?
I have seen
it was 30-06. Interesting.
Of that receipt. It was not given to me from the owner. But I want to, before we get into like all the timeline stuff, I want to address what you think is evidence so we can keep this on par with what your claim is. Since
well, I think
we do scientific research. We take someone who's already on death row.
We're trying to get to whether there's overwhelming.
All you gotta do is just watch one of Scott from Kentucky Ballistics videos where he uses a 30-06.
Yeah, I think we should go over the.
I would like to hear more about what it is that
they
said here, because the opening stuff.
Do you want me to back it up?
Oh, no, you're good. You can keep going.
Near the crime scene.
Okay.
So I would consider that to be very good evidence. And also the fact of the matter is that I dispute this claim that a 30-06 could not have made this wound. I think that that's absurd. 150 grain Remington core lock absolutely could shatter when it hits the neck of any human being. When you say that there's some steel neck and it's a smaller caliber, you have to make a counter explanation. Why wouldn't a smaller caliber also go through bone?
It could. I didn't say it can't.
Right, exactly. So if that's the case, then ammunition is going to be the critical key here. And if we have frangible ammunition, which we do in this case, a flex tip round.
Oh, it was.
Well, I'm sorry, not a flex tip, a soft point round from 150 grain Remington core lock. That's just a small jacket that goes around the actual lead piece. This thing could have split apart in air for all we know. But definitely upon impact, and we have the medical examiner who confirms this in a summary, and my team can bring that up, the summarization, which means he would have to be a part of some kind of conspiracy as well.
Okay, so just to start with your point about saying that the gun was found near him, near Losey Center, or I guess off in the woods. That gun, did you watch the testimony? Did you watch the preliminary hearing?
Yeah, we covered it live. Yeah.
Okay, so forgetting what the summary of the medical report was, did you watch the testimony that was given by the Caitlin Oliver, the ATF woman, Samantha Carner, any of those people who went into the science of?
Yes, I recall. You're talking about
the bullet analysis.
Yeah, when they went into the DNA.
Okay, so that's kind of the most relevant part.
Okay.
I'm not denying, I've never denied on my platform or anywhere else that a gun owned by Tyler Robinson was found near the crime scene. Right.
What? Wait. She keeps. I swear this woman has flipped her narrative like at least 10 million times. Yes, you did.
Near a crime scene.
What do you mean?
That's not convincing evidence to me.
I concur with
such a liar, dude.
So you I think, have said on a platform that you were a gunsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and for how many years?
Many years.
For many years. Mm-hmm. You also said that
I genuinely believe like that Candace has changed her.
Sorry, your wife tweeted that you were
whatever at this point, like 10 different times. Like because I swear at the start she said that it was his gun.
Colloquial.
Oh my gosh, this is insanity, pure insanity.
Okay. What did you do in the army? Did you teach? And I corrected it and said you taught rifles in the army.
His gun, but
no, I didn't teach rifle. No, I taught rifles as a private citizen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I was an NRA instructor for many years alongside my gun shop.
As with your expertise, when she gave testimony on the stand, Samantha Carner, that there was dust and there was debris that was found in the gun barrel.
Yep.
And then when we had the person who, and this was, I believe, Caitlin Oliver, who explained painfully about the DNA, the prints.
Well, let's start with a point at a time.
I'm not done. You said something, so I'm going to finish my thought, right?
You don't want to do a point in time?
No, well, sure. If you want to respond to, but I want you to respond to 2 points. I want you to start with 2 points.
Okay.
Dust and debris in the gun barrel.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that there were 5 sets of prints, 5+ actually by the end of the testimony, 5 sets of prints for which we already had the woman who worked for the FBI forensics testify that above 2 prints, if you're taking a sample, it's no longer a science, right? She testified that when they took the sample of what was on the trigger, they saw 5+ prints. And among those 5+ prints, Tyler Robinson's was the most degraded. Mm-hmm. So I would like you to explain how Tyler Robinson's prints could be the most degraded when she said, actually, you could have DNA on something that you've touched. You could have DNA on something that you've never touched. And to get DNA degradation, they've looked at pieces, items 20, 40 years on that don't have degradation. Yet Tyler Robinson's prints, amongst 5+ other prints, were the most degraded on that weapon.
Yeah. So let's get into all 3 of the claims. First, with debris. When it comes to debris, firing a rifle doesn't always blow the debris out of the barrel.
Okay. You think there could be debris and dust.
Yeah.
He just fired the weapon.
Sure.
Okay.
It can be, yeah.
Forest. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, but if you leave a rifle in a wooded area, it's also possible that debris could get in that way. But I'm not even sure that's what the case is. I think it's far more likely that you fired.
I think she's just grasping at straws at this point.
Oh yeah.
You'll find this if you
take
Cappy's.
Anybody, and I'll pause it real quick. Anybody that's fired a weapon knows that the interior of the gun barrel, after it's been fired, you're getting like oils, especially if the rifle has been properly lubricated, if it's been cared for, even a modicum. And when you fire a rifle, there are oils in the barrel, and just firing the rifle does not clear it out. You'll have those debris in the barrel, like between the rifling, that won't get like blown out of the barrel. It's not like when you fire a rifle that a giant fireball goes down the barrel, propelling the round out, and it cleans out the entire barrel. That's not reality. So. Not to mention, if he, like, I don't know if he was in a kneeling, a prone, a standing position when he fired, especially if he was in a prone position when he fired his rifle, then it's entirely possible that after the rifle was fired, as he's moving to get up, the debris, he could have gotten debris within the barrel, not to mention firing the rifle will kick up debris that does not just get blown away from the rifle. It can also blow out and then suck back into the rifle because of the vacuum created by the shot occurring. And then, of course, like Andrew was saying, debris out in the woods. Now, as far as fingerprints go, who's to say that he didn't, like, they said that, his
he could have had gloves on.
The most degraded.
He could have had.
I was going to say, like, he could have had gloves on. He could have wiped it down.
He probably
He could have wiped down the specific parts that he held and got rid of his prints, but the other prints were still remaining, including his old prints from handling a rifle. There are explanations for this.
It enters into an area of a lot of speculation. Either way.
Yeah. Yes. And by the way, 9 times out of 10 also, fingerprints is not the definitive evidence when it comes to most homicide cases. In 9 out of 10 homicide cases, the conviction is based upon observations seen at, the crime scene itself, the injuries, and the interviews. Physical, this is where the CSI effect comes into play, is people put more stock into evidence collection, fingerprints, DNA, so on and so forth. They put a great deal more of faith in that versus all other police work. That's why a lot of, prosecutors don't like, then cops don't like the show, never liked the show CSI, because it gave the public an incorrect viewpoint of evidence collection, how it works, the speed at which it works, the reliability of which it works. Because the reality is, evidence collection of fingerprints and DNA, with the notable exception of perhaps sexual assault cases, that typically speaking isn't used a lot of times in criminal court cases. 9 times out of 10, they're using on-site reporting of the officers at play and suspect and witness interviews. That is what typically makes the case versus physical evidence.
Rifle, and it's all dusty inside the bore, and you go fire it. You'll often look down the bore and there's still dust.
Okay, and the prints?
Yeah, so the prints, we don't know all of the details on just yet.
We do. It was excruciatingly long testimony on the prints.
We don't, because they haven't gone to trial, so we don't know on the print front. But Tyler Robinson's DNA was on there. You made the claim that Lance Twig's DNA was on there, and it was not.
Well, when she gave the testimony, hold on. First, let's go to your first point, because that's wrong. We can get a fact check on that. What do you mean we don't know until it goes to trial about the degraded prints? She testified.
They're not going to throw everything at a prelim.
Yes, but the problem is that inside of this particular testimony, you agree with me that there's going to be much more of the DNA analysis during the trial, right?
But you also would agree that her fact is not going to change, that among the prints, his was the most degraded. So I'm asking you to address that. How could that be possible?
Let's give it, let's just grant this for a second.
She's getting pretty aggressive.
That his fingerprints were
Yeah.
It's not a possibility. It's a fact. The person who took it.
I'm just granting it for the sake.
She is, because he's calm and she's not.
So now it's granted. So what?
What do you mean? So what?
Yeah. So what? What does that prove?
It proves that if his prints were the most degraded amongst 5 of them, you're going to have to explain how that's possible if he's the one that recently fired the weapon.
Gloves are wiping it down.
Wait a second. You're saying that it's an impossibility that if his fingerprints are the most degraded,
I'm telling you to explain it. You're the gunsmith.
Well,
so
wait a second. How would a gunsmith give?
He's a gunsmith, not a forensics expert.
Yeah. Can we just
you want a forensics person? Talk to me. I know something about forensics.
But I did.
No, you said so what?
He could have wiped down the part.
We don't have an explanation.
Yeah, let's pause this real quick and talk about it, because like we mentioned, he could have had the gloves on after. He could have just done a really sloppy job at cleaning it, because the amount of time that he might have had to get between getting up there, setting up, and then getting out, you know, in a moment's notice, you can do a sloppy job, and we're human. And he's probably, I mean, based on what I remember about him, he's not this super cool FBI spy gunman with like 10,000 years of experience under his belt. He was someone that they like basically picked up off the street and got him to do it, or some guy off the street, like a normal citizen who probably has like some training, but you know, can be sloppy. So that's very possible that he didn't do a good job of cleaning off the prints afterwards, if he's not an actual like hitman, like trained.
Rolling Agent 47.
There's also environmental factors. And depending on the environment, depending upon meteorological environment, depending on physical environment, i.e. what he laid it down into, that can also damage, degrade, or destroy fingerprints as well. They said they found it in the woods. Okay, where in the woods? What was it leaning against? What was it laying on? Was it laying in like mud? That could potentially destroy the prints, because fingerprints are based on oils. The fingerprints are left on something by the oils of your fingerprints making contact with the surface and the oils are left behind. They are extremely fragile. It does not take much to destroy or degrade fingerprints. It's kind of why it's why fingerprints are not relied upon in real police work. It's why they are not like, oh, we didn't find your fingerprints there, so you weren't there. No, that's not how reality works. That's how television works. It's not how reality works. So
and then on top of that,
a multitude of factors.
It's not particularly damning evidence one way or the other.
No, it's not. The fingerprints is the fingerprints or lack thereof is not going to break this case by any stretch of the imagination. There are a host of reasons of why his fingerprints are not the most recent fingerprints on that firearm.
It would prove is that it is a more viable theory that people who had stronger prints on the gun may have used it more recently.
Did they say who else had fingerprints on the gun? They
named Matt Robinson explicitly. Okay. And this was a part of the testimony where she was speaking about how they got samples of elimination samples from the home of Amber Robinson, Matt Robinson, and Lance Twiggs. Those were the three names they named.
So are you saying that Twiggs?
Would you like me to finish my statement?
I just want to make sure I'm clarifying.
I'm trying to finish the answer, but it can't be.
Oh, she hates when he does that to get clarity.
This was a portion of her testimony where she was explaining how they got elimination samples from the home. And she named Matt Robinson, Amber Robinson, and Lance Twiggs as the elimination samples that she was using. And so she explicitly said, some of them, so we can assume 2 out of the 3, were their prints were found on the gun. She explicitly named Matt Robinson as someone who had prints on the gun, and then said there were 5 people that they had taken that sample from. And again, what's also relevant here is the earlier testimony, which came from the FBI forensics analyst, I believe it was on day 2, where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+, it's really hard to make any sort of a determination. So both of those things are relevant.
So then what she said about the degraded fingerprint means nothing.
Prints are the most degraded, and you're saying...
What? She just backtracked on herself. She just tanked her own point. She said when there's that many fingerprints on a thing, the scientific evidence basically goes out the window because it's just too many prints. So her exact point about, oh, well, why are his fingerprints the most degraded? You just said 2 seconds ago, the fact that there were so many prints on this firearm means that the science regarding the fingerprints is out the fucking window and none of it matters. There's too many fingerprints.
Exactly.
She killed her own freaking point. She killed her own point.
I know the logic she was trying to close here, but it did not land. It absolutely didn't land. It just fell flat.
Not at all.
He is the shooter. It's not really a so what. It's an open-ended question that people have a right to pursue. It's not a conspiracy. It's actually proof of my claim that there is evidence that he was set up as a patsy.
That wouldn't prove anything about him being a patsy.
It said it's evidence.
It's not strong enough
to support the claim.
That evidence isn't strong.
Even close to strong enough.
So this is why I said earlier, so what? Because even if it's the case, this doesn't have an explanation for it yet. That doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
Okay,
hang on.
Yeah.
I didn't cut you off. Right? You would need to actually explain how this would demonstrate Tyler Robinson. This is tied into Robinson being a patsy. Are you claiming that these fingerprints were Lance Twiggs or that he had any DNA there?
I'm saying that it could be Matt Robinson. It could be Amber Robinson. That sort of information is going to come out during the trial.
How would that tie into the idea that...
Oh my God, she just said his exact fucking point. She literally just said his point that he made earlier, that more is going to come out during the trial, which is but there was a ton of evidence during this prelim. And she just said there's obviously more that will come out during the trial. She's literally backtracking on every point that she's making. Every point that she makes, she blows up herself.
10, 15 minutes in? Or what's it?
No, we're about a half hour in.
Half an hour in. Dude,
into the actual debate.
We're making progress.
I just I'm so taken aback because she had, not saying it was the best point, but at least logically it was sort of making sense, and she ruined it by saying this. She just agreed with Andrew. And my thing is overall with Candace is can we at least wait until the actual trials and stuff take place? You can, and I think when it comes to having a forensic scientist or whatever look at everything. You can't just look at one piece of evidence. You have to look at everything. You have to look at footage, call logs, everything.
Totality.
And some evidence is going to be stronger than others. And she started with the weakest one. This is the weakest one of all of them. She should have waited until the end.
It's fair to start with the weakest argument. That's fair.
Really? Really? You think so?
Oh, yeah.
He's a patsy,
yes,
though.
because if his is the most degraded prince and the information that I shared on my platform is true, that this gun was given to Tyler Robinson as an heirloom. I had conversation with members of the Robinson family, Twiggs family, both of them. You know, like I said, we're not just dreaming. And if we're having those conversations and they told me that gun was only given to Tyler Robinson because it was a family heirloom. Okay, so it was his grandfather's gun or great-grandfather's gun.
And?
I don't remember the difference. I don't remember which one it was. And so he got it because he's the firstborn. So, but he's not much of a shooter, is what I was told. And so he has this because he inherited it, essentially. So if I get something from my grandpa and I put it up on the shelf and I own this, you could see that could be...
How do we get to the Patsy part?
You don't let me ever get to the end of the sentence. So how could we get to the Patsy part if I can't
I'll
get to the end of the sentence?
I'll wait patiently till we get to
so
the Patsy
that could be a
part.
reasonable explanation as to why there was dust in the barrel, because he doesn't often shoot this weapon and he is indeed a fisher. And it could also be a reasonable explanation for why we have Matt Robinson's prints on this. Obviously, Lance Twiggs, even if he has prints on things, they live together. That doesn't really mean anything. But that could demonstrate that somebody took his weapon and put it somewhere. His prints are the most degraded. Somebody else's prints, there's more presence of somebody else's prints.
Oh, for God's sake, we're back on this.
Is taking items from his house and putting it into various
But it also
places.
could demonstrate nothing. So the problem that you have here is that this is pure conjecture.
No,
this is not evidence that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. It's only evidence that you have conjectured up that, well, if it's the case that these are the more degraded prints, then therefore that means must be patsy because dad's fingerprints on gun.
I didn't say.
And here's the thing: we don't deny that there's a possibility that he is. I mean, for anybody like just coming in earlier,
like
we mentioned
to the idea.
Yeah, and so is Andrew. But we want to go based on the evidence that we actually have now that's been released. Right. And I think conjectures are fine, but we have to be careful because you can still go in the opposite direction. And we are trying to avoid extremes. I think Andrew's trying to avoid extremes. So it doesn't dampen this whole case because let's just say there's a million conjectures and lies out there and we continue to push it. Well, when the truth finally comes out, if it ever even gets to come out, like it just gives bad actors a chance to get away with a false narrative. So I think that like, in my opinion, I don't hate Candace. I think that there are times where she makes some pretty good points. In general, I'm not talking necessarily about now, but it gets overshadowed by how far into the conspiracy hole she's put herself in, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the fact that she's hinging at this point, she's hinging her conspiracy theory of the Patsy on really flimsy evidence. She's hinging it on debris in a barrel and the fingerprint quotients and the degradation of said fingerprints on the firearm. That in no way, shape, or form, no police officer in the fucking country would basically take those pieces of evidence and immediately jump to, oh, this guy's actually a patsy. No cop in the country would ever do that. It's unsleep. Like this leap of logic is ridiculous.
A patsy.
Okay, I just described that for you, so I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you, so I'm going to move on from that. But to just go back to your point about this is not evidence, you can't make that claim because the entire basis for why you think that there's evidence for Tyler Robinson being the person that took the shot is based off of a hearing under Utah 1102 rules, meaning that they are doing the exact same thing that I am doing. This is the state. You said you're here to represent the state. Well, did you watch the preliminary hearing?
I didn't say I was here to represent the state.
The state's position you think is strong and convincing.
What I'm here to do is represent my own opinion,
you
which
said
is
in
that
your opening statement,
based on the evidence presented so far by the state
has presented
I find it convincing.
Evidence under Utah's 1102 rule.
But this doesn't demonstrate any patsy behavior.
That's very important because that rule is hearsay. So you can't say at the same time, Candace, you're not allowed to. And what that means under the Utah rule, which I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you.
I just want to point out she's doing bird hands.
And yourself understand what that means.
Bird hands.
That the entire hearing was hearsay. None of that information that was presented is going to be allowed. The majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, is not going to be allowed at the trial. They're allowed to present when it's just a probative hearing.
I don't think all the evidence that was put in was hearsay.
Okay, you didn't watch this case.
But not only that, no.
This is a huge point. This is crazy that you don't know
this. We can call for a fact check if all the evidence
we need more than a fact check. This was every single day. Utah Rule 1102.
They want to go there. So they said there's a medical examiner's explanation of the shooting that's in the back. Rob, if you want to pull it up. And then Candace, if anybody from your team wants to pull something up, no problem as well, but they're requesting it. If you guys got it, pull it up so we can show it. And in the interim, is that it?
Yeah. So I'll read this.
Just what are we looking at, just so we know?
Yeah, so this says, the bullet, or at least part of it, sequentially perforated the interior left of Mr. Kirk's neck, strap muscles of the left side of the neck. This is a summary, by the way. Left common carotid on the left internal external.
Carotid.
The bullet also obliterated the left side C27 vertebrae.
Transacted the cervical spinal cord.
Medical examiner observed a significant portion of Kirk's cervical spinal cord was traumatically absent.
That would fragment the round.
Injuries, including bilateral, apical, and posterior intercostal hemorrhages, pulmonary, apical hemorrhages,
so many
disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary.
I mean, basically, he got hit pretty hard in places that you would need God to pull you out of that in order to survive, because that is a death sentence right there. And even if let's say he lived, he could have very much been paralyzed in his entire body.
He wouldn't. I don't even think he would have been. Would they say was C? Did they say was C3? Did they say it was C3 or C5?
I heard C. I heard C3, but I would want to confirm.
C2 to 7. Obliterated the left side of C2 to C. Okay, so it did multiple cervical spines. It obliterated C2 through C7. That's not survivable. Like the neck, like inside the neck, were bad enough. The fact that it obliterated C2 through C7 to C7, that's not paralysis. That's you're done. That basically stops brain function from communicating with the rest of your body, and your heart stops. You're at that point, your heart is not receiving the proper. I forget the medical terminology, but. The brain sends signals to the heart to keep beating on its own. Obviously you're not actively doing it, but the brain will automatically send those signals to the heart to keep it beating. When you obliterate C2 through C7, you are basically exploding the spinal cord, and the brain signals are no longer going to your heart. They're no longer going to your lungs. They're no longer going to any of your internal organs, and so they're instantly just shutting down.
You basically unplugged all of his vital organs.
I don't know if you guys got to see the multiple angles and stuff, but you see how that shot went into his neck and how he flailed around. I was praying that day and just remembering this. I was in so many tears, just praying that God would keep him alive. But when you look at it from this angle, what they're describing here. Again, it would be up to God to pull him out of that, but he basically lost, like you were saying, that connection to his brain and everything. And the amount of blood that was spilling out, he would have, if that maybe didn't go through, he would have probably died just due to blood loss alone. To be honest,
it's and people people are saying that no, it wouldn't necessarily have done it. You're just exploding bone, and that the fact that the NE used the term obliterated, the level of force needed to obliterate C2 through C7 would have also obliterated the spinal cord too. If that cervical spine is by the medical examiner saying obliterated, the cord's getting obliterated along with it. It is, especially with the fragmentation the way it did, because the fragmentation, it's not like the fragmentation had a long distance to travel. That is a very tight, confined space. And so that fragmentation was tight, and it was shredding everything that it encountered.
Apical hemorrhages, multiple disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary of the examinations that were shot.
Okay.
That was what they were pulling that up for.
Okay, and I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. We're not disputing that, so I don't know why this was brought up as a fact check. Could you bring up 1102 Utah rule? Because this is an unbelievable point that you're making by saying that I am not allowed to infer off of evidence.
You can infer. I'm trying to follow the inference.
But your entire reason, like you asserted that you believe there's overwhelming evidence on the basis of what we saw in the preliminary hearing. The entire preliminary hearing was hearsay.
Yeah, I'm fine with your inferences.
But no, you just literally said I couldn't do that. Yes, I can.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying from your inference, how do we get to Patsy?
This is how you got to Shooter. The Tyler Robinson did it.
No,
the same way that you got to Tyler Robinson.
Shooter from that.
Yes, you did. You again, this is something important, so we should pull up a fact check about what the 1102 Utah, and under their constitution, for the sake of a preliminary hearing, they do not have to have hard evidence. They don't have to put people on the trial, swear them in. But no, that's why the entire hearing was basically hearsay. Officer Bagley was saying,
but not all of it, like I said.
The overwhelming majority. Again, no dispute. Outside of the one that you don't want to give. Please don't cut me off. Though. Outside of that is what's in dispute. It means that your entire
black woman is talking.
You don't have evidence. Falls apart when the entire preliminary hearing is based off of hearsay. In fact, Lance's testimony before they had about an hour.
Can we get a bird hands counter?
More than an hour debate before he sat, and they said this is not
the counter will explode.
Do this. We'd be able to cross-examine him. The questions that they're asking.
Quick way to get alcohol poisoning. Take a shot every time she does bird hands.
Under Utah Constitution, 1102. It is my job to allow all of this so we can see if the state has enough here that we can then move to a trial, which will then. They would not allow this stuff. They would say we get to cross-examine Lance. Lance just can't willy-nilly say.
I'm not disputing.
But the entire substance of your argument is that people can't infer off of evidence.
No,
that's what you're saying
to
me. When you say Candace,
here,
you
I'll
can't
give
talk
you the
about the degraded prince,
now.
which is a fact.
Yeah, I'm not saying
Dear Lord, have mercy.
Oh, she's mad.
You're just literally making stuff up.
So not surprising.
She's big mad.
I'm not making stuff up. I'm saying.
Can we pause this?
Pull that up.
She's big mad.
Yeah, this argument, like this is shooting her credibility. This is just killing her credibility. She needs to calm down, and I think that Andrew is granting her a lot, but she's not. This whole thing about Candace this entire time that we've been able to see her, she's extremely rigid, and she's not allowing for any sort of conversation to really happen, and it's killing her credibility.
She's probably one of the worst people to represent the point of like something weird's going on because of how she is.
Yeah,
I'll say though,
because she will not listen to anything.
Yeah, Andrew's credit. Like I'm not normally a fan. I feel like he's way too smarmy a lot of the time, in my opinion. But no, here this is probably some of the most contained and like reasonable I've seen him be. Ever. So like I can actually, like, as someone who's not generally a fan of him, I can actually appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He came into this debate clearly like intending to restrain himself in terms of how he presents himself in his arguments. He's clearly taking this debate seriously. And like he's even like he's actually like acquiescing to points that she's making. He's like, I'm granting that. I'm not disputing it. But she is, I don't know why. I don't know if she knows she's coming into this behind the 8 ball. It is like just keeps pushing. She's foolishly pushing on stuff that Andrew's always like, yeah, I'll grant you that. But she keeps hammering down on it, and it makes her look like she does not believe it herself. That's the crazy part. But by the fact that she, after he agrees with her on something, and she keeps hammering down, it makes it seem like she doesn't even believe it herself. And it's almost like she's trying to
She has to force herself to convince herself. Yeah, 100%. And it makes me suspicious about her own side, because if this were a normal debate, like, again, Andrew, I've watched a lot of Andrew Wilson. He can be very, very snappy. And the fact that he's restraining himself and disciplining himself gives his argument more credibility. Now, again, I'm not going to just discard what Owens is saying because she's doing this. Like, there may be some truth coming through what she's saying. But again, it makes it really hard to believe you. And I am not convinced that she even believes at this point what she's saying, and has lost the plot a long time ago. And again, I think this stems from an obsession with trying to figure out who did this to Charlie, because again, they were probably close. They were probably very good friends. And on top of that, look, let's be honest, guys. there is controlled opposition in this world, and I am not one. Now, I don't have all the evidence. I'm only speculating at this point, but controlled opposition exists, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, it's almost like she's like the way she keeps hammering down. It's almost like she's trying to do something that I've heard other content creators do before when they're confronted with something, and that is try and bully their point through. Where it's like if they keep going, that like somehow they think that they can basically bully their way into their point somehow being true in the minds of the person that they're talking to, even though Andrew has already said, yeah, I'll agree to that, to some of the points that she's made.
I am doing exactly what the state did. Okay. I am looking at a piece of evidence, and I am saying.
But you're not showing me how you get there.
Can you describe to the audience what Rule 1102
so this,
means?
just so everybody who's watching this at home understands what I am saying, even if he doesn't. What Andrew is arguing is that I don't have the right to extrapolate from a fact like
just making it up. Just purely making it up. I'm asking based on
Andrew.
Based on
can
your
I show my evidence? You just showed yours. Reliable hearsay.
You'll get a chance.
Reliable hearsay in criminal preliminary examinations. The entire preliminary hearing that you just saw was on the basis of reliable hearsay. And what that means essentially is the people who are making the statements can just say, Patrick told me that he did this on Monday. Patrick's not here. And that is, they can allow that into the hearing. That's just because it's just meant to be probative. And so it's the state saying, here's what we have inferred. So you are allowed to take a piece of evidence, and then you are allowed to infer off of that evidence.
Probative, yes.
Case in point, that's a demonstration that's a demonstration of what I just did. I said the prints were the most degraded off of Tyler Robinson. And from that, what I am inferring is that it's plausible that Tyler Robinson was set up.
That doesn't.
Okay?
Where does that fall into hearsay? This whole entire point of bringing up the statute was talking about its hearsay evidence. What does that have to do with anything? Am I crazy? Like, again, she completely
but
blew
like
up
not
her
about
point.
this.
No, Amber. Clearly, we are all in the wrong here, and Mrs. Candace Owens here is right, and it's all hearsay at this point. Everything is hearsay. Everything.
And aside from that, this is a preliminary hearing. The purposes of a preliminary hearing is to go over evidence and facts and testimony to see if there is enough substance in all of the collected evidence, testimony, including hearsay, evidence, scientific evidence, collected evidence, what have you, to move forward to a trial.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying the whole preliminary trial was a hearsay trial. Who cares? It's literally just a quote-unquote trial. It wasn't actually even a trial, it was a hearing. It was a preliminary hearing for a judge to determine, is there enough there for an actual criminal trial to commence? That's it. That is literally the purpose of a preliminary hearing, is to see...
Her claims are also
does the state...
then, no?
Well, then, it's literally just for a judge to look at what the prosecution is bringing to the case, and for the judge to go, yeah, okay, there's enough there that basically we're not going to be wasting the court's time with a bunch of bullshit.
Exactly.
Yes,
let's get down to the nitty-gritty,
where all of the evidence can go put on the table. That's exactly it. That's all this preliminary hearing. She is just hammering down on this preliminary hearing thing for nothing.
It's for literally at this point reason. It just seems for clout. And again, we're not trying to say that it isn't possible that people in the government were involved, outside forces, but you also have to attack this in a way where it doesn't make you seem like a complete crazy. That's what she's doing. So I don't know a lot of legal stuff, so I can't comment on this. I'm mostly looking at this from an angle as a normal day person trying to understand what happened, and I don't think I would go to her. Because she's pushing this in a way where it's like, it's my narrative. It's this way. It's not anything else. It's this. We've locked it in, and we haven't even gotten into the main, trials or anything yet. So how
the safest thing to say is that there's some weirdness going on to the whole thing, which makes
sense.
There's some weirdness going on.
Sure.
There's some weirdness going on. Now, what that means necessarily, well, I'm more inclined to not trust the government. That's just me. And I'd say they probably have some degree of involvement. To what degree? Who knows?
We don't know. We don't know yet.
We don't know.
You're saying the government would lie to me, Desmo?
Sure.
The government would never do that.
Maria, I'll put it. Let me put it to you this way, Maria. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Oh no, we've got the Canadian government. They're gonna send us to the MAID program real fast. Hold on, right after the stream.
Either that or there's just a badge on the outside of Tim Hortons and say, good luck to you.
We could continue for sure, yeah.
That's the point in contention.
That's not a point in contention.
That's the point in contention.
It's not a point in contention. If you're saying it's a point,
it is the point in contention.
It's not the point in contention. I'm telling you that was what the entire hearing allowed for. So the evidence that he is describing,
so what?
that he is using to argue his case, is all based on inference, not fact.
Great.
Inference, not fact. So what they are inferring off of the facts.
So again, we're going to take this, and I'm just going to even grant it because it's irrelevant. I'm asking how you get to the inference that even if you dispute that piece of evidence, that means Patsy. I'm looking for the logical chain for how you get to that inference.
What I am telling you is it's the exact same way that when you tweeted, I think that this evidence is overwhelming. When they say that looks like Tyler Robinson's car, he drives a similar car, okay? They are inferring that that's Tyler Robinson.
Can you walk me through the inference? That I understand.
It's not a fact. It's not a fact. When you show a blurry image, which you kept citing that we have images.
I'm talking about your inference that the fingerprints, even if they're degraded, equals Patsy. How do you get that inference?
We're back to the fingerprints.
I think it is enough evidence that it should be explored, which is exactly what this preliminary was in the inverse.
That's not in dispute. What's in dispute is when you said
she can't answer him.
Evidence that he could have been a Patsy. I'm asking, how do you get the inference to Patsy from that?
Because what I am saying is that it shows that somebody else had more DNA presence on that gun than Tyler Robinson did.
How does that become Patsy?
Plausibility based off of the facts, okay? It is plausible that somebody just took his gun and put it there. That's it.
Is there equally
that's how it works.
And is there equally 100 other plausible explanations?
I think that's the reason why most people are exploring when things don't make sense.
Got it.
I mean, the other thing is that this is how the court
process.
I forgot, where did he get caught? He got caught, was it in his home? Did his parents hand him over? We don't know if the parents grabbed the gun and be like, grab him, come here.
We found this.
The fact is, she is not answering his question. He's literally asking, how are you making the leap from his fingerprints are, quote, the most degraded, unquote. How are you going from there and making the leap to he is a Patsy? That is an absolutely insane leap to just say, oh, degraded fingerprints means he couldn't have possibly done it. He's a Patsy for someone else. And someone in chat saying his parents turned him in.
What if his parents grabbed the gun? And then their fingerprints are the least degraded because they could have just grabbed him, be like,
It's entirely possible. But the fact is, she will not. In terms of putting all the evidence aside and theories about how the fingerprint evidence could have been the way it is, she's refusing to answer his question. He's asked her a very simple question: how are you going from his fingerprints are most degraded to he's a Patsy? Walk me through that leap of logic, and she can't. That's the overlooking point. Because it's insane, and because she's just basically literally pulled it out of her ass that there is no walking path from fingerprints to he's a Patsy, and she can't do it. That's why she keeps dive, dodge, and dodging.
It's enough to say, oh, that's weird. Maybe we should look into that more. But that's about it.
If you want to say okay, this if you want to say okay, this is one piece that kind of along with other pieces has me going.
Wait,
that's kind of weird. Yes, One Piece is real, Maria. Go on, jump on that pirate ship and sail away. Go find it. I'm sure you can get it.
One Piece is
real. Sanity. Just a
the One Piece is real, and it's degraded fingerprints.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yep.
Works.
So
just so we're clear,
if there's 100 other plausible explanations, then Candace, why is it that we should go with this idea that it was a Patsy?
I'm not saying
the One Piece
is real with the idea that it was a Patsy. I am saying that there is.
Yes, you did.
That was the whole defense. Your whole claim.
No,
today.
My whole claim was that there is more evidence that he is set up as a Patsy.
No, she literally said she thinks he's a Patsy. She's now backtracking on her own points.
Don't believe your lying ears.
She is the most disingenuous person. Oh my God. The minute Andrew with a word blows up her argument, she's immediately backtracking, going, I didn't say that. I never said that.
I'm just tired, man. We're not even like.
I'm guessing Andrew's gonna roast the crap out of her for this.
I mean, he absolutely will, and I'm already so tired, dude. I'm so fatigued at this. This is insanity.
I know.
How does that equal evidence of Patsy?
I don't know how many times I can say this. Like, I'm saying that I am using the exact same mechanism that you are accepting for some reason in the Utah courtroom.
Yeah.
Right. To say, I'm going to look at the evidence and I'm going to infer an alternative theory. So you just saw the states and you're accepting it. And they have not presented any concrete.
How far
facts.
in are we?
Listed on your own Twitter that what you found to be
probably like 40
convincing
minutes.
was something
like a half hour in.
Car pulled into the driveway, a blurry image.
No, I didn't.
A standard white guy coming up the steps that could literally be anyone.
This never happened.
Can we get a fact check on that? Can we pull up his tweet where he goes over the four?
I didn't say that's what convinced me.
When
it's white boy summer. It could have been any of them.
But you said this is the evidence that you found to be overwhelming, and you named, I believe, actually 5 things. I think you said it was his car. You said it was.
Well, there's multitudes of things that I find.
You just said you didn't
say.
Yes, so we're going to get a fact check on that. You did. You said the
conjunction
blurry
with
images
each
coming up
other.
the steps.
Wow.
Quite literally, when Officer Bagley testified, when I'm talking about making inference, this is the most, I thought was the most absurd testimony I've ever heard. And pardon me, it was actually David Hull. They asked him a question. How did you know the guy in the maroon shirt was the same as the guy that came up the stairs later that was wearing the American flag black shirt? And he said, they're wearing the same shoes.
Why is that absurd?
And?
That's how you decided these two are the same people. Oh, wow. What a scientific. They're both wearing Converses. Okay. That's an absurd thing to say. That is not evidence that these are the same people if we're both wearing Converses.
Converse are pretty popular. I'll give that.
Well, these days, I don't know if Converse would be pretty popular, but
among certain crowds.
Among certain crowds, sure, I'll give that.
Yeah, probably.
But has Candace never heard of like people that when they commit crimes, they like strip off their shirts so they're not easily identified? That literally happens all the time with criminals. Shoes are more difficult because you need to protect your feet. Shirts, criminals will strip off their shirts or change out their shirts all the time. That is common for criminals to do, or just humans that commit crimes and are panicking and not experienced.
I know.
Something this intense though. Something this intense, I would have figured he would have changed out his shoes too, because like if you're going that far, the extra mile, it's one of those things. Like, well, yeah, you could really go back and forth with it all day, because it's like, well, maybe.
Did they find a shirt? He probably took it with him in like either like a pocket or a backpack, something like that. I think he would leave a shirt behind.
But it's like she's immediately like just completely just tossing stuff out the window. It's like, well, no, like shit like this does happen. Criminals do this. When people commit crimes, especially murder, they might, strip off their shirt. So that way, it's if anybody had seen them coming in, they're now wearing a different shirt, and they won't they won't recognize them when they come out and not identify them. It's honestly pretty common.
Yeah. Accessories, clothing. And like you guys mentioned, shoes are the hardest. I don't think that's like the best way to go. Everything else would be much better, more easy to identify.
There's weirdness going on, and she's one of the worst people to explain it because of how she is.
Yeah, because she's not willing to, like she blows up her own arguments. Doesn't want anybody else to talk, and tries to keep hammering home concepts that can easily be disputed, and it just destroys all of her credibility.
Exactly, 100%.
She's getting frustrated very easily, and she's losing composure.
Yeah.
Oh, she was frustrated off the jump. Like from the moment she opened her mouth on this debate, she's been like just been off the rails.
Yeah.
That was what he said. That's what flew on the stand.
But I still don't understand how that would be absurd. If somebody,
it's an absurd thing.
For instance, if somebody were to change their clothes but keep the same shoes on, wouldn't you utilize the shoes to try to track that person? If
the
they were
idea that on a college campus, people wearing this totally different outfits but both wearing Converses can't happen is such an absurdity that I don't even need to like argue that. I'm just going to let people deal. Why is it absurd? Just concede that point. Obviously, it's an absurd thing to say.
I'm not
I know
sure,
these are the same people because they're both wearing Converse.
Yeah, I'm not sure if in context that's what happened. But
if it is, you can get a fact check on it.
But even if it is, again,
and it was not really. They also had the same build.
Whenever we're dealing with logic and we're dealing with making a logical inference, we're going to take the entire collaboration of evidence and then we're going to make inferences from that. You would do that with any type of logical proposition. Otherwise, you could never have a true or false claim.
Right.
So when that never happened. You're just making stuff up. So anyway, when we're talking about logical inferences, what I'm looking for is the logical inferences that you have that Tyler Robinson's a patsy based on a totality of evidence that you have.
We can keep going through your other evidence, but we should find his tweet where he lists the reasons that he was convinced.
So let's start with the 30-06. I think that's fine.
Your team's looking for. Do you remember how long ago that was?
The tweet of the 5. Did you delete it or no?
No, I don't delete
tweets. Okay, cool. Just look for. He said it was his
misspell.
car. It was his. It was the car, and it was definitely the staircase photos, and it was when the trial was going on.
Okay, she has it. Perfect. If you got Skylar has it. If you want to.
Okay, here we go.
Somebody said, so give me the clear evidence right here. I want you to provide it right here. All I heard from the investigator was, we believe this to be Tyler Robinson. Is belief something you go as a fact? You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen getting walked.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can Candace kindly fuck right off with her racist bullshit? Sorry, I'm sorry. She needs to fuck right off with her racist bullshit because if the offender had been a black person, do you really think she would have said, "Yeah, I am some black boy"? Do you think that she would be so crass in her like, oh, some white boy?
No, and I could understand it if this were just a normal conversation and they're throwing like shots at each other. But this is a real, debate with a moderator who, by the way, compliments the moderator for stepping in a couple times. A lot of moderators I've seen in recent debates, they don't really do anything. They're just kind of there.
Oh, yeah. Same.
This is unacceptable behavior on her part. And again, it's not to like discredit like her points, but she's making it really hard to listen to her. And it goes to show that she's not here in good faith. She's here to just argue and not have a true debate and cross-examination.
Doesn't Candace have a white husband?
This is going to get worse.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter if she has a white husband.
I don't know if she does. And quite frankly, I don't care. Does she? Okay. I just like, it's the fact that she's, the way she's putting him like this, it's also pulling away from her arguments that she's being so crass and cavalier by saying like, I'll back it up a second so you can hear what she says. The way she says some white boy, like she's saying it in a very derogatory. Derogatory is probably the best terminology for it. Yeah, she's like saying in a very derogatory nature that basically feels like she's, it feels like it's like racism is behind her words. She's not actually saying anything racist, but
than white and see how it sounds.
Thank you, Jim Farm, for the 5,000 kicks.
That's exactly my point. If the offender was anything other than a white guy, you can guarantee you she would have said, she would use the ethnicity or the race, and she would have not spoken so flippantly in regards to it. And I'm sorry, that pisses me the fuck off.
It does. And anyway. Jim Farm just said that with Candace Owens, she hasn't really changed with how she talks since she was on the left. Shocker to no one. She hangs out with the Tate brothers, which poisons her credibility to me. And we don't have to get into the Tate brothers like thing, but there have been some very questionable things from her part when they got exposed for what they did.
200%.
She defended them tooth and nail. And I'm just like, look, I'm not saying that they didn't have some good points, but like having 1 or 2 out of 10 good points and the other 8 to 9 are terrible. Not very good. And here's the thing. OPSEC is really important at the end of the day too. What you say and how you say it are almost as equally as important. So for anybody who might come in and say like, oh, but at least she's saying the truth. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if you can like balance. I mean, I don't think so, but let's just say for the sake of the argument, she's quote unquote saying the truth. You're not going to get people, you're not going to get crucial people on your side because you don't have a good faith argument. You're not coming in with good faith. You're coming in super hot when you don't have to. I can understand maybe towards like the middle end, but like this early on, I just like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't want to listen to her, but I want to listen because, Charlie, great man, and he deserves to,
especially when Andrew Wilson is being far more mild than he usually is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or not upset. Sorry.
Like Andrew is actually
like your perception. That's the word I wanted to use. Perception was the word I wanted to use. Not upset. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, like Andrew obviously came into this in good faith, willing to argue in good faith, and she isn't. And that's basically that's kind of it. She did not come here with the intentions of arguing in good faith. She came here with the intentions, I think, of boosting herself.
I mean, she got $300,000 off of this. In a way, we can argue that she might be winning here. And that's part of the reason why I'm just like, can you lay off the gas just a little bit? You're going at 90 miles per hour in a 25. Yeah. It's crazy.
I would be retarded on camera for like a handful of goldfish crackers, let alone $300,000.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Klondike bar, but that works too.
No, she would also do it for that.
Klondike bar.
She would
accept it.
She would.
They're good.
Out of it, you have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. Mm-hmm. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase. The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind.
White boy, not like white guy.
Man. Yeah,
man.
But that's not an exhaustive.
I don't. You know why?
You did tweet it.
Particularly
it's not
boy.
exhaustive.
Yeah,
well,
but just 5 seconds ago, you should concede.
You only said this one thing and said that was overwhelming. Actually,
that's not what I said.
It is. You could even pull your own
did I
clip.
say that?
Can you fact check if that was said or not? I did not hear her say.
So the thing is funny here is like we still aren't getting to any of these inferences. So
why are you pivoting? So just say you were wrong. It's cool to just say I was wrong.
I'm not wrong. So back to the tweet aspect here. It was really funny. That's not an exhaustive list of why I find it.
I didn't say it was exhaustive. I just said you said it.
And on top of no, you didn't. You said that I only said this one thing. And then said, based on that, it's over. Well, I didn't. You didn't mention that I mentioned the screwdriver, DNA, all of these other things. You never mentioned any of that. So, no.
Rest in peace to the one guy in chat named Screwdriver.
Over to the actual yes, I'm okay. Anyway, back to the evidence
if you're
itself.
Okay.
Yes,
actually, I'm glad you're asserting that you're okay. I wasn't worried about your health. I'm just saying that I just said you tweeted this. You said, no, I didn't. We got a fact check. And now you're like just going to gaslight me and pretend that I said.
There's no gaslighting.
It wasn't exhaustive. I never said that. I just said you did say this.
I
didn't say you couldn't have said more, but I would like to address the said in that tweet.
This is stupid.
Interrogating my position. You can do it that way.
I'm just addressing what you asserted on your Twitter was like the hard evidence that convinced you was overwhelming. That's literally your debate
not what
claim.
You said. That's not actually, in fact, what happened.
You can see the anger on her face.
Yeah.
I was here for it.
She expected him to roll.
Yeah, so my position is that based on...
We could scroll it back.
I personally, personally, I'd like to see the footage myself of the camera footage. Because I would want to see me personally, I would want to see like the footage where it's like, okay, the Tyler Robinson is doing this and that and that, because from there it's like, okay, I would want to cross compare myself, be like, is this close enough of a comparison? Does it look like him? How much does it look like him? Is it reasonable enough? I'd want to see it myself because I have a hard time believing other people's determinations a lot of the time. So I would certainly want to see that myself and kind of gauge from there, personally.
It's like here's the thing. I can't remember if it was local PD or FBI that did the investigation on this. You're not going to see all of the evidence, even in a preliminary hearing. There is mountains of evidence that the police have not disclosed to the public. And so basically what the public is aware of in terms of evidence right now is probably a fraction of what they actually have.
And not only
that, to any interviews.
No, not only that, I don't know if you guys remember, because this was like, if not earlier this year, definitely like late last year. I think it was earlier this year though. Candace was going around in circles saying that she had, all this evidence from like insiders and things like that. And I question if she truly had it or not, or if she had people misleading her and throwing her through a loop to destroy any actual credible sources that would eventually like come in. And again, we're not at the point where we're in any like major trials, so I don't know who's feeding her information, who she's going through, but I don't know. I don't trust any of the sources that she supposedly got firsthand into via text and all of that. I think that people were just throwing her for a loop and saying things. I'm trying to remember. There was like one specific instance where someone said that they had a lot of like info, like insider info, and I just can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was early this year though.
Yeah. And for clarity, someone in my chat was saying her complaint on Andrew is that he didn't put everything that he believed into that singular tweet that they just read. That's her big issue, apparently.
I mean, you kind of can't. Like, that's video worthy. And let's be honest, most people will not read. They will listen to you say it, but most people will not read that. And there's only so much you can say. We don't know if he was busy and stuff like that.
True.
Even with
has been demonstrated, at least all the evidence to my knowledge, that I am actually not seeing anything that's compelling as an alternative theory. I'm not seeing anything which is convincing me of something otherwise than what the state is presenting as evidence. That's my position, if that's what you're asking me.
So just going back to what you did actually tweet, is it fair for me to ask questions about that?
Is that the only tweet you're going to ask me about?
Well, we're addressing your claim that the evidence is overwhelming, and this is a tweet where you listed what you felt was overwhelming. I think that's fair,
but not
right? I feel like that's fair,
but not exhaustive. Just so you know,
I never said it was exhaustive, even though you said I did.
Sure.
But yeah, so going back to that, all of that, as you say to me, well, Candace, why are you addressing and making inferences off of the testimony?
No, I never asked you why. You're making inferences. I asked you how, with the inference you made, you got to the conclusion.
Okay, so I would like to know how you got to the conclusion, and I'm just going to throw it right back at you, because for some reason you permit yourself to do it, and that's what I'm demonstrating, is that you permit yourself to do it, and then you say, when I do it, it's a conspiracy, right?
No.
How are you able to infer off of blurry staircase images that is Tyler Robinson?
Yeah, so in that particular case, what you do is you take that evidence, you combine it with other evidence. So it's not just that Tyler Robinson is seen in the staircase.
Why are you calling him Tyler Robinson in the staircase? That's what I want to get to.
Yeah, because, I mean, we'll just use this. If you don't agree that that's Tyler Robinson, then you would just have to humor me. I think it is, so I'm using the name.
But why do you think it is? Because you make everybody, you call them conspiracy theorists. That's literally what I'm trying to explain to you.
Oh my gosh.
So if you're asking for my inference, why I think it's Tyler Robinson.
She's trying to nitpick to derail him.
In his text messages, you'll be able to see me on security footage at the campus. Said it in his own messages. On top of that, Twigs, yes, you can pull them up if you want to fact check that. He did say.
I would. I'm sorry. I actually think I really did miss that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't remember him saying you're going to see me in.
I'm paraphrasing, but it was
pull that up?
Yeah,
I
think that's
by the
not
way,
right.
Twigs himself said that he had some
on the staircase.
That he had some maybe a tiny bit of doubt, but it sure looked like Tyler Robinson inside of this various surveillance footage that he saw.
So Lance. Sorry.
Hang on. So there's multiple reasons why it is that I believe that that's Tyler Robinson, not just because of blurry footage.
Did you ever
See,
just kidding.
No, it's because
oh my God.
You know, we can pause here really quick. See, I love Andrew. Like, again, I'm not going to say I'm going to agree with him on everything, this entire thing, entire debate, but he's not just going off of one piece of evidence. He's using multiple angles. And that's what bothers me about Candace, like from the get-go, is that we want to harp on just one point. We can't harp on one point. Not only does that destroy credibility, it's, again, I would not have started, I know you guys disagree, but I would not have started with the weakest evidence. I think starting strong from the beginning, maybe throwing some of the weak stuff in the middle and ending off on a strong note psychologically makes more sense. And it helps get your point across much sooner, it's much more impactful. So I like what Andrew is doing here. I think he's right. You know, you can't just look at a blurry photo. We're looking at the text. There's security footage. All of that combined together is how you should be presenting evidence and your argument.
And that is the difference between Andrew's argument and Candace's argument. Andrew's argument is he is looking at the totality of the evidence put together is overwhelmingly indicative of Tyler being the shooter. The totality. Candace's whole point is, oh, the fingerprints are degraded, therefore he's a Patsy. Like, that is what the difference is. And the fact is, she doesn't like I don't think that Candace likes the fact that Andrew has got, I got being a colloquialism here, but like that Andrew has got like all of this evidence that all points in its totality to, to Tyler being the shooter. He has got, there is a substantive amount of evidence that all indicates that Tyler is the shooter, that he did this. She has got fingerprints that are degraded. And in her mind, because she thinks that he's a Patsy, which God only knows where she came up with this concept, she hates the fact that she doesn't actually have evidence to back up her batshit crazy claim. And I think that's why she's going so hard at Andrew, why she's not letting him talk, because she knows she doesn't have anything to substantiate the claims that he's making. Andrew does, and oh boy, does that piss her off. And that's why she's going so hard at him. That's why she's interrupting him. That's why she's being snarky, all that stuff. And I'm going to let it play, but I'm just going to run to the bathroom. I won't be long, but I'll just let it play.
Let's address those multitude of evidences. The first one we're working on a fact check on, because I do not ever remember him tweeting. That's me in the stair. I mean, or
he didn't tweet it.
Texting that's me in the staircase. I think that I didn't
say that. I said I literally didn't. What I said is that he texted over, "You'll be able to see me in footage at UVU," and I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Yeah, could we get a fact check on that? The second thing you said was Lance's testimony, and actually what Lance says is, "I'm not 100%."
I agree.
But in terms of what he wears, again, pointing out the absurdity, he wears Converses. He wears sneakers. If his boyfriend is not 100%, I'd like to understand why Andrew Wilson is overwhelmed by it. That's what I'm trying to get to. And lastly, I would like to remind you that Lance's statement would not be permitted. This was a huge part of the preliminary hearing, that they were leading. All the questions that were asked of him were leading, so they would be struck down at the actual trial. And also, I would like to remind you that he got use immunity for that. Use immunity.
I understand.
Which means
that happens, by the way, all the time in these cases.
And I'm wondering why it particularly happened for Lance in this testimony. And I would also like to point out that something that's remarkable about this, again, leaning to my perspective, that Lance has a lot more, which I have said many times, Lance has a lot more involvement than the feds are letting us know. I think more is going to come out because they interviewed him on September 11th.
Yeah, Candace. So while we wait for the feds to tell us more, perhaps,
which was initially supposed to be
perhaps we can just wait until the feds tell us more. Yeah.
Interview.
Goodness gracious,
which,
woman.
in my opinion, should have never been allowed. And I actually agree with the defense that it's a violation.
Yeah, but that'll blow up her opinion. Blow up her facts.
But I understand.
It'll blow up a lot of things. But I think that she needs to calm down. She just needs to calm down because
She doesn't want to, because when more comes out, that basically destroys her entire. See, here's the thing. She's fighting for her legitimacy in this space. That's another reason why she is going so hard, because she has basically thrown all her eggs into this basket. She is fighting this hard and this desperately for it, because if it comes out that there is a mountain more of evidence that obviously has not been made public that definitively shows him as being the shooter, that he did it, and there's like almost no doubt to it, she loses all of her credibility in the news space.
Well,
and that terrifies her.
You know, what's funny, from a point of view of her being controlled opposition, actually, if you think about it, from a point of view of her being controlled opposition, this is me getting a little bit nutty here, I'll admit. But from a point of view of her being controlled opposition, her removing credibility from any of these arguments really sits well for if anything weird is going on. Just a thought.
Dude, there's this guy in my kick chat that was like, calling us retards because we think the Jews did it, or he says the Jews were doing it. I'm just like, bro, can we just forget about race, ethnicity, and religion for a second and just say there are evil people in the world and just call them evil, demons,
for sure.
Whatever. The Jews,
I'm honestly, I'm so sick of every bad thing like this happen. I'm honestly legitimately sick of so many people defaulting to the Jews. It was the Jews.
And there might be, but
it means they're not it means they're not thinking critically. It means that they are not they don't have thoughts for themselves. They're not willing to examine a situation critically of their own mind. And they're just basically following the leader and going along with everybody, immediately just going, it's the Jews.
And look,
it's defaulting that is a little bit lazy, right? Because there are a lot of groups of really rich, really powerful people who talk. The word gets around that they have circles where they communicate. I'm ethnically Jewish. I do think that there are some groups like Mossad and stuff that have influence, and they influence things, and they have power, and they cause things to happen. For sure.
Sure.
It's never the whole story.
Yeah, but there are people who are quote unquote Christian who do it too, who are up there in cahoots with the group. That's everyone.
You want to get into big groups? You got the Jesuits, the secret Jesuits. You got the Masons. You got the Illuminati. All these big so-called groups out there and about there.
Hell, I got one for you. Well, why have there been like just as like I'm not saying like, oh, I believe this happened. I'm just like postulating as a thought experiment. How come I have not heard of any conspiracy theories that it was the Muslims that killed Charlie Kirk? Like, think about it. Charlie Kirk was standing on the platform of Christianity. Why has no one postulated, like, everybody's going, it's the Jews. Why hasn't anybody said, it's the Muslims? They hate Christians. So why haven't we heard about any conspiracy theories about
been a bunch of
ones that facilitate
atheists
more a matter of playbooks, honestly. Typical playbooks.
It could be. I mean, again, this is me just like throwing it out there, just like, hey, we haven't heard this happen. Why have we not heard this happen? I don't think it was actually. I'm not claiming that it was the Muslims. It was the Jews. I'm not claiming any of that.
If it was the Muslims,
saying,
it wouldn't have been a bullet. It would have been an airplane.
Oh my gosh!
No.
Chad, if the stream goes down,
I'm gonna have to correct you on that, Maria. It would have been a goat.
Oh.
I'm just saying now. The sleeper agents are. My Fed is watching this right now, and he's ready to cut the power.
No, you see. The Jews did do 9/11. It was me. I was surfboarding the airplane the whole way through.
Bro,
that would explain everything. Okay, well, I appreciate you admitting it. I think you know what you admitted to it.
We have the right to talk about this. My husband is Jewish. I'm Jewish. We can talk about it.
We're gonna get canceled so fast. This is great. Well, it was nice to know you guys. If I don't see you tomorrow, I know what happened. Anyway,
it's been a fun time.
Oh,
it's been a good time.
Embrace it.
All of our Twitch accounts just get banned immediately.
Pretty much. I have to tell you something about that later in chat, but you guys can continue by the way at any point.
Desmo's model. You see how small that hat is?
A second plane has hit the throat.
Jim Farm said a second plane has hit the throat. Dude, Jim, please no. You can't do this to me, Jim. Come on, man.
We love jokes here. We love jokes.
I know.
We do the funnies.
Look, I've got a secret special agent watching my every move. I gotta be careful.
Guys,
CIA or Mossad, the world wants to know.
$6 billion to Israel.
We already are. You need $6 billion more.
I need $6 billion more, please.
This was the stream promised to be 3,000 years ago.
3,000, only 3,000, honey. You gotta start up in those numbers. Those are rookie numbers.
Darn it! I can't get that leaflet song out of my head now. Okay, we should continue. Sorry.
Just be able to also have use immunity, knowing that he's not going to get in trouble. He could literally get up there and lie about anything, and he's not going to get in trouble because the use immunity was given to him in April, I believe. April 28th is when they gave that testimony to the defense. I think they shot it in like April 20th of 2026. That is not compelling to me for somebody who has use immunity to give a testimony and to say, I'm not really sure, but definitely like he wears jeans and stuff.
That's not what he said.
He did. Actually, you can get a fact check on that.
Yeah, that's
Skyler,
not,
I think
he said
pull
much
it up
more
if you
than
want
that.
to. So a couple things we have. We have Rule 801, Tyler's messages, that says it's not hearsay. But first, go to what Candace is asking about, Skyler. I think you have it. You just texted me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the text. If we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this, and I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay.
It's not an oof. It's a gotcha, bitch.
I literally said I don't remember that.
I'm just saying to you, like,
okay.
I'm trying to be concise for you.
And then also bring the 801 that you just said. What was the other one?
Yep. The 801, Tyler messages saying it's not hearsay, if you have that as well.
Yeah, and she's talking so fast to try and slip something by.
What are we saying is not hearsay?
Statements that are not hearsay. A statement that meets the following conditions is not hearsay.
It was hearsay. They said it in the trial.
Hang on.
Okay.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
The declarant's testimony and the declarant
everything is
denies
hearsay,
having
Maria.
made the statement
Stop
or
it.
has forgotten.
That's
or is
hearsay.
consistent with the declarant's testimony and is
no, that's heresy.
Express implied charge that the declarant recently
The
fabricated
Xena
or
scum
acted
will
in
be
recent
destroyed.
improper influence or motive in testifying. So then, wouldn't that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the issue with his
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Would that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the opposing party, which down the line, like I said, they talked about this for about an hour and a half, and they discussed how if Lance was in court and he was giving his first party,
I want to see like one of those
testimony as the opposing party, whatever,
body language
all this would be fine. They had an issue with how
like
the questions
completely
were being asked and that they were not allowed to cross-examine him. So that is why his video testimony would not be accepted in the main trial. And what I said to you is this entire preliminary hearing is under Utah's 1102. So they are allowed to just use hearsay. And
no,
so the
you didn't
judge,
say
when
that.
he
You said most of it was hearsay, actually.
Yeah,
the
it was.
overwhelming majority.
Well, I mean, and that's I'm leaning now into my opinion that some scientific aspects, which they kept asserting, like the federal rule 403 or 402, some of those parts were quite
Sounds
scientific.
like you're backtracking quite a bit.
No, I'm not backtracking at all. What do you feel like let me help you. What do you feel like I'm backtracking? It literally was done under Utah's 1102.
Yeah, nobody disputed that.
Okay.
What the dispute was is whether or not most of it was overwhelmingly hearsay.
Yes,
is that the case?
it was. Yes,
Okay.
that's a fact. I'm not backtracking on
And
that
what
at
are
all.
the things
How
that-
many times did you, I mean, if you watch the preliminary hearing, it's like they constantly, I'm 1102, 1102.
She does not want him to get a word in.
And the reason for that is because it's allowed. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's allowed at this stage.
She really doesn't want him to speak.
When you're going to sit across from someone and your claim is going to be, where is your hard evidence? This is what I heard and I agree with what I'm watching. You are watching these.
Yeah, and you're right. Like people in chat are going like, yes, she did say it was all hearsay. Yes, when they first started talking about this preliminary trial, she literally said it was all hearsay.
She did.
She actually made that statement. And now she's desperately backtracking and eating shit as fast as she can. and you can tell because she is going a mile a minute and she does not want Andrew to get a single word in. She does not want him to speak. Like probably this entire debate, she wants to try and control this debate. The funny part is, I said this to you guys in the chat earlier before stream. Is like, is this going to end up being an angry cops that Mike guy quote unquote debate where they remember when they had a debate at a bar, great spot for that, but where rich angry cops literally did not need to say a thing. The entire quote-unquote debate, Rich literally just sat there drinking beer while this other guy, like Mike Malice, that's what his name is. Yeah, Mike Malice, like who is like he hates cops. Like Rich literally just sat there drinking a beer almost the entire time while Mike Malice basically just completely dug himself a hole to China. Like, and I think that's what Candace is doing here. Is she's basically like, I think that's why Andrew is not being so aggressive, like going to the moderator going, hey, am I going to be able to talk at any point? Because she's digging herself a hole to China at this point. She just keeps digging herself deeper and deeper and deeper every time.
And we have to remember that she basically got all this money from him. So some will argue, oh, she won in the end because she got what she wanted, which is money. I don't think it's here to defend, but yeah, you go ahead, Desmo, sorry.
No, so Ember, you mentioned Malice, like something happened. I'm unaware of this. What happened with? Because I used to be aware of him as one of the people in the space. What happened there?
Basically, Mike Malice challenged rich angry cops to a debate. It was in regard to the police. And Mike Malice's position is that he thinks police should be abolished. He doesn't trust the police. He thinks that police should be replaced by essentially private security. And Rich basically didn't speak during the debate. He honestly didn't say hardly anything at all. He was just sitting there drinking a beer on stage. Mike Malice was just going on and on and on and on and on and just digging himself a hole deeper and deeper and deeper with every second that passed and completely tanked his argument from the jump and just kept doing it the entire time.
Yeah, that makes sense though. With how so for me as someone who's again, I've been following a lot of these people, a lot of the political sphere on and off, less in recent years. Like since Gamergate, I've been following a lot. Like I know of Michael Malice, I know of Candace Owens. I've seen her change and her growth and her fall off super hard and her weird roller coaster. It's really weird for me seeing like some of these people is like, wow, these people used to have good points on certain cases and certain things, really falling off. Yeah. It's really wild.
It is. Like we're seeing a lot of them. We're seeing it with you saw with Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. People used to be like, wow, this guy's making like really good points. He's getting railroaded by Fox for no good reasons. He's making good points. He is going off the fucking reservation lately. It's like a lot of these people, hell, even in politics, we're seeing like someone that sticks out to me is like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like she was die hard in the corner of Trump. And then literally overnight does a 180 and completely tanks her career. People saying like Ben Shapiro really fell off. I haven't followed him.
Oh no.
We're
Shapiro,
seeing so many of these. Yeah, we're seeing so many of these public figures literally just come apart out of nowhere. Literally out of nowhere. We're seeing so many of these people literally just collapse. It's insane. It's honestly wild.
You know, it's funny. Someone asked Alex Jones. It's funny, like for me, he's like the only one who seems like to have actually grown in popularity.
Right.
Like Alex Jones is like
he's been getting proven right. That's why.
We should probably
and he's also been super chill in comparison.
As soon as we can. Sorry. Yeah, let's reel in a little bit.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, Uncle Alex is just goated.
I'll be right back in these restrooms.
Preliminary hearing, and all of those things are not going to be allowed, right? Even when they got into witness statements and things of that nature. There's a reason why they swear you in, and they say you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth. Did you, write this statement? So it's the overwhelming majority of what you saw was hearsay because other people were representing other people's statements. They were saying they had conversations. We don't know where it came from. All allowed at this stage, okay? But it's hearsay. So
but even a lot of that stuff may not fall under hearsay, under what we just read, right?
But the evidence that you're speaking about, like when you say that we're going off vibes, you don't know Tyler Robinson, okay? His boyfriend is not 100% it was him. So I'm going back to your points that you made that this was overwhelming evidence for you. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, overwhelming just means
you can't consider another option that there could have been another white guy wearing Converses on campus?
Yeah, do you agree with me that I said that what overwhelming means to me is that it's just very convincing to me?
Yeah, and I find it to be completely unconvincing.
And that's fair. I understand that
I looked at those blurry photos that they presented and said, your statement on
if we could pause for a second.
He's wearing
I think we and obviously I'm not leaning entirely too much in one way or the other with these guys right now, but I would say that Andrew needs to be careful here because we should go with the actual definition, not just what we think it is. So that would be maybe one critique I have of him is, go with the actual definition. And if you need to use a different word for what you're trying to say or simplify it or slow down here, I think that's totally fine. Yeah, overwhelming because it does have an actual, concrete definition. That's the only maybe constructive criticism I have here.
Yeah.
You can continue whenever though.
Okay.
Versus, and he also that's just crazy.
But these aren't the evidences that I find the most convincing.
Well, you said that in your Twitter.
That's not the only thing I've ever said on my Twitter about this case.
Right, but the question that was asked of you was pretty direct.
Yeah.
Right?
Twitter wasn't
what did you find
this is not an exhaustive list of all the things that I find
that's not what you said
convincing.
In the tweet. You can tweet longer too. It's not like we're limited now to 240 characters anymore.
So anything that I tweet,
no one's gonna read it.
And all other tweets that I've ever made are now excluded because I used the word overwhelming in this one.
Well,
even though all of this information I've said so publicly over and over and over again is what informs my position for why I'm convinced on the case. That's bizarre to me.
I feel like this is Andrew versus Andrew. Somebody asked you a question. What are the points that you find to be, overwhelming? And you answered.
You mean from that day, from that particular day of the hearing that I was responding to?
This is something you find to be more overwhelming? Let me answer that question.
Yes,
okay.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, go ahead. Go on. What do you find to be more overwhelming?
Yeah.
Can we do this? Do we want to get into it, or do we want to do a quick ad break?
I think this is where they start the ad.
I'm fine to keep going, but we
I'll skip past that.
Take a quick break.
Doesn't matter to me either
if
way.
we're going into a different topic, that may be another 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't want to stop you guys in the middle of it.
Let's end it on what you find to be more overwhelming.
Yeah. So if we're
God, I did hit my toggle.
It's the confessions, the text messages, all of that is what I consider to be. From my opinion, that's the most convincing for me.
Okay, we should discuss the.
I was flipping off the video.
When, get back.
Okay.
You know what? Understandable.
Folks, we're going to take a quick ad break. We will be back in 3
Let's go to our own ad break. Let's start. I'm not kidding.
All right, I'll jump past this. Once I get to the end of it, I'll stop and we can take a bathroom break for anybody that needs that.
Was that a Charizard?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Maybe.
Like $2 billion.
Okay, if anyone needs to use the bathroom, I will get to the end of this ad break and then I will stop it. So if anybody wants to, if any of you guys need to.
I just got back from that.
Grab yourself some popcorn, get another shot of vodka.
Go for it.
Smoke a couple ciggies.
Girl, shut up. What?
Get your line of Coca-Cola ready.
Maria's breaking every commandment possible.
I know. Goodness gracious.
Such a silly goose. She has an eagle eye.
No, she's a sinner.
She doesn't need SSRIs. She needs gifted subs. That's what she needs, remember? She needs gifted subs, not SSRIs.
The Pokemon just makes my neurons light up. I can't help it. I have autism.
Generally my stance is always, just to be fair, but my stance is generally like, if the government is involved, always look at it with intensified scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I fully agree with that. It's just, this isn't just simply like the government's being involved, though.
No, there's more to it for sure. Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know. All right, so if we're good, we can we basically just jumped like 15 minutes in the video there. So let's
goodness gracious,
roll it.
Marie needs some Cuban cigars. I'll put them on my
Fantastic.
Castro's gonna give them right to you anyway.
By the way, just an FYI for those of you that are watching The Crucible, there's 30,000 concurrent they're watching. Support Andrew Wilson.
There was a
your
crazy
fans of this.
amount of
Click that
people watching
subscribe
this
button. It
live
helps him
stream.
grow his business.
That's what I heard.
If you're watching Candace, I think there's 225 to 250,000 concurrent right now. We'd like to see that 400,000 number on their.
Actually, pause it here. And so I think I was telling you guys earlier, because I was like keeping track. I think they hit like 26,000 people, at least on the Crucible, watching on the Crucible.
Yeah.
Like they hit like 26,000 people. It was insane. How many people showed up today?
And he just said 200 some odd thousand on Candace's platform.
Yeah, she has a lot of people show up. Yeah,
like that is why I'm saying, like, you guys have like you guys have mentioned it. People in chat are saying like Candace has no credibility. She had over 200,000 people on her platform watching. So Andrew had like 26.
To be fair, I was one of those people, and I only clicked on it because it was the first one to pop up.
Fair.
It was the first one that came up when I said I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people here.
That and that's fair. But it's like even if she's viewed and whatever, like there are a lot of people that consider her credible. Intelligent people do not. Let me make that nice and abundantly clear. But there are still a great deal of people who listen to her and take her word as gospel. Yeah. A lot of people. And so,
I mean, the other thing is we don't know if there are any that are botted. We don't even know how, like, if she uses any bots either.
Even if we go on the assumption that she's botting, it's still going to be like mid 5 digits. Even if she's botted with like 250,000 and a lot of that's botted. Even if we go on that assumption, she's still like organically. She's organically going to have like 5 digits worth of viewers. That is a following. And that is why and her following equals her ability to keep doing this. Her that's her livelihood. That's why I'm saying, like, she is going so hard. She's talking so fast. She's not letting Andrew in to get a word in edgewise, because if it comes out that she is blatantly wrong, that like and she has basically been digging her heels in on this, and it's been going so hard on her point of view on this. And if it turns out that she is way the fuck off and completely wrong, that's going to tank her credibility substantially and could lose her revenue. People may go, oh, this bitch doesn't know what she's talking about, I'm out. And then all of a sudden, that's money that she's losing. And that, I think, maybe at least in part reason why she is going at Andrew so hard, not letting him talking really fast, is she's desperate to try and seem like she knows what she's talking about to try and retain her credibility. Because even this debate alone could potentially destroy her credibility, depending on what Andrew says to her or his counterpoints that he is able to make at her that could basically destroy everything she's talking about. Honestly, if Andrew had made the point that I made, where she basically blew up her entire argument regarding the fingerprints, that would have destroyed her credibility right there, where it's like she just blew up your own argument when you backtracked on the fingerprints literally in the next breath after you talking about it. You did, but this is what I'm talking about.
My question is this like about being right, or are we trying to really, justice for Charlie? At the end of the day, I really can't tell anymore. And I used to watch her quite a bit earlier this year, and it's just like, I don't know. It's obsession.
Oh, it's about being right. This is for Candace, at least, this is about being right.
Yeah,
and she's not even right.
This is, for Candace, it has nothing to do with Charlie, and it is all narcissistic. I just want to be right.
She put her eggs in a singular basket, and now she has to defend it with her life.
Basically.
Yep, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
subscribe and share it with your friends and family. And if you're watching it on PVD Podcast, do the same there as well. This allows us to have more conversations like this.
Watch the PB&J podcast.
It's the fact that we're having these conversations right now. Just so you know.
Sounds
we
yummy.
Want to control it. This is free for all. This is what's best for the audience. That's why we like freedom of speech. Having said that, let's go back into the text conversation you were having, right?
Okay.
Let's stay there, and then we'll go into the cross-examination stuff in about 30 minutes.
Okay. That sounds fair. Okay. So, yeah, I used basically three pillars for the totality of the evidence. Okay. So if you want to know exactly what those three pillars are, this is going to be the testimony with the text messages and the confessions. This is going to be the physical evidence. And this is going to be the totality of the summary of the case. Okay. So right now we're focusing on one of these pillars in my defense, which is fine. I understand that I have to defend my claims as well. So when we're talking about the messages themselves, they seem totally valid. I have no idea why they wouldn't be valid. And I have not heard any good explanation for why it is that these messages should even be questioned. The defense hasn't questioned them as far as I'm aware. Nobody has actually questioned that these messages came from Robinson to date, except perhaps you and other people who are kind of in that camp. But why should I question these exactly? I'm not sure.
Okay, so first let's just go over legally what the point is of a probative hearing. The defense is not they're not there to say or to argue or to defend themselves at all. They have to address what is being presented by the state, okay? So they're not here to then say, let me give you an explanation for these text messages.
Agreed.
The relevant portion of what the defense did do was actually before we got to the preliminary hearing. I had mentioned that it was initially supposed to be scheduled for some time in May. They asked for an extension. That reading through those filings of why they were requesting an extension and why I actually believe their extension should have been granted because they did not receive discovery on their text messages. That was one of the reasons. There were many reasons why they wanted to have an extension, but this was crucial, right? So forget just the general sense that these messages feel off. And yes, you are allowed to have an intuition. You are allowed to have a sense and just go, this is very weird. We're being told this kid had like above a 4.0, Tyler Robinson. He wanted to get away. I mean, the text messages almost run head to head with themselves. Like he wanted to get away with it. So he thought the best thing to do would be to text a full confession of what he did down to what I didn't even remember saying, yeah, and that's also me in the surveillance footage. It felt a little too on the nose. People have common sense. You just don't text message. But then we're also supposed to believe that he put a note under because and burn this and get rid of the evidence. But don't worry about that because I'm about to text you a full confession. That it felt off. It felt weird off the bat. The manner in which they were texting, we're told he's like a gamer who's using a Dremel to carve expressions, catch fascist. But then suddenly he's writing like a 1700
also as a
novelist
player. He did actually
He's
get
the most impressed.
Wait, they just say a Helldivers player?
If we start debating that, you'll be way over my head.
Yeah.
Yes, but
oh my gosh.
There's one very good, there's one very crucial piece of knowledge that Candace is not considering, which literally every cop will tell you. Criminals are stupid. That is a rule of life in law enforcement. Criminals are stupid
on average.
Well, yeah. On average, criminals are stupid. You have someone that literally just took a person's life. Do you really think he is thinking clearly? This is not a hardened criminal. This is not a soldier who is used to combat and ending people's lives. This was a kid who
they said he had a boyfriend. Obviously, his judgment is impaired.
Oh, I don't think it was just boyfriend. Wasn't his boyfriend trans, or was he trans?
No,
the trans angle, I forgot.
The girlfriend or whatever it was. Yeah, it was a trans. I'm pretty sure it's a dude, but like a trans woman. So a dude.
Trans boyfriend or something. I don't even know. It's all confusing.
Trans furry, says chat.
The bottom line is like you have this young man who is not an experienced combatant, is not a career criminal, and he literally just took someone's life. He probably saw, because I don't know if there was a scope on the rifle or not. I don't recall hearing if the rifle used had a scope or not. But going on the assumption that it did have a scope, like he literally just took a person's life, saw it, up close and personal the life that he just took, do you really think that he is going to be thinking clearly? Do you really think he is going to be making smart decisions post-murder to cover up his own crime? No. He's going to be panicking. He's going to be running on emotion and adrenaline. He's going to do stupid things.
Depends on how much he had planned in advance, but for sure, like once you get in the moment, you kind of slip a little bit for sure.
Well, now it's even if he had it planned, I'm guessing he probably did have it planned out, but then he took the shot and then Murphy's Law kicked in. Granted, it's not exactly Murphy's Law, but it's basically no plan survives contact with combat.
Yeah.
The real one is no plan survives contact with the enemy. In this case, though, there was no enemy that he engaged in contact with. This was no plan survives, combat action. And once that happens, the adrenaline kicks in, the emotions kick in, especially if you're not used to this, and everything goes out the window. And now instinct kicks in. No matter how good of a plan you've laid out, if your instincts override your logic, the plan is out the window.
For sure.
So it looks like Lance Twiggs, at least at the start, this person claimed to be transgender from male to female. So I think ultimately it's probably a dude, but the reports, depending on what you look at, it's kind of whatever. But I think at the end of the day, these are two mentally ill people who decided to, go crazy. And look, I'm not saying that anyway, that they're going crazy. So, I mean, we're not denying the possibility that more people were involved, but right now there's way too much up in the air.
It's quite possible that, some federal agents caught wind of these guys talking with each other like, hey, Charlie Kirk, he should be unalived. and they go knocking on his door, be like, hey.
And took advantage. They could have stoked the fire, but I think the guy was probably going to do it.
Okay, you just sounded like you were about to say, hey, kid, I thought you were about to say, hey, kid, I've got some candy in my window with Savannah over here. You want some?
The feds be like, hey, kid, you ever try ayahuasca?
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy.
I think it's possible the Fed played a part in it.
First, it's a general sense of why people had a reaction to these messages.
Maybe. I haven't seen evidence to it yet, but maybe.
Jane Austen, rather than like a kid who games and writes catch
but do you
fastest.
see how that's intuition?
That is. I just said that. I said just parking aside the intuition of just something feels wrong here, which you should follow your intuition. You should actually do that. If you say the COVID vaccine is running out, feels like it's coming out too fast, and there's too many celebrities telling me to do it, I'd like to take a pause. That's good. That is, you are allowed to do that. I believe in intuition.
But hang on. Let me respond a little bit here, because you've been going for a minute. Let me at least respond to a little bit of this. So the first thing is like when people bring up the COVID vaccine, not trusting the COVID vaccine en masse was the science. That wasn't just intuition. That was the science.
I'll disagree with that there. I would disagree with that there.
Now, they tried to suppress it. That's true. But there was tons of competing science for why you shouldn't take a risky mRNA vaccine and masks and things like this. Now, when you're talking about intuition, though, when you say trust your intuition, I'm actually giving a different message. You actually should be very wary about trusting just your intuition. It is true that intuition can be useful, but it has to be tempered with logic, reason, explanatory power, and evidence, not just intuition.
That's why
can't let yourself have a woman moment.
If we can, and if we can pause
that
here.
was my first step with COVID. I don't like the way it's being pushed. It shouldn't require.
After this. Actually.
Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong buttons.
And Desmo, I'm actually interested to hear what you were kind of like, stopping the brakes there for. And I wanted to add real quick.
Particularly.
When we let emotion overrule us, that it's problematic. It clouds our judgment, and we want to see what we want to see. And that's why, we are trying here, while we react and sort of have fun, is to see the middle ground as best as we possibly can, because we don't want to go to either extreme if we can. And Des, if you want to go ahead on your point, I'm really curious to know what you have to say.
As I'm saying, the science did not say to trust the mRNA vaccine. It wasn't even untested. True. It was the propaganda that was widely pushed from the so-called experts that said, "Oh no, this is fine, this is safe," and the science, quote unquote, and that's why you get into the actual science and the quote science, quote unquote, around there, because there was a lot of push in that, where there was a lot of like, "Oh, if you believe this, you're just a conspiracy nut,"
and not only that, releasing and or withholding information that maybe, because I was actually hearing, and I might have seen, and don't quote me, Chad, here. I don't remember it too well, so my memory's a little hazy here. But there were some papers, even as early as 2009, for some of this stuff, and then it kind of just up and disappeared closer to COVID time, where people were saying like, "Oh no, that wasn't real. Oh, that was something else," and so a lot of people were being denied the real science, the real testing, if there was any, right? And we know that science, as Christians, right? Science, if anything, proves God's existence ultimately, like how the world works, how He made it. But people have weaponized science. It's no longer about actual hypothesis and
the cult of science.
Right. The cult of science is
science. It's become science, bro.
It's become less about truly having a hypothesis and trials and things like that. Well, it's like the sources, just believe me, bro. I've got a degree. Here you go. That's all you need.
Yes, and that's the crucial factor is what you're talking about. Is like we talked about turning science into a culture or religion. It's that in that is where you have someone use it, like basically using science as a cudgel to basically say, I know what I'm talking about, do not question me because science, whereas an actual scientist would say, here's what the facts is, here is the evidence, I am more than happy to have it be peer reviewed to show that yes, my calculus is correct. What we saw, what you're referring to COVID is, believe me because I do science. I say science is good, and then
trust the experts mentality.
Further propagated. Trust the experts, but we're not going to let you see our homework, and then we're also going to propagate it with pop media propaganda, like what we saw on like the Late Show stuff, where they were doing full-on skits.
And here's the thing:
science denier.
You need to see who's funding these things too. Follow the money trail, and you'll know like what side. It's not about being as unbiased as you can. Now there's truly no unbiased work. Like people are always gonna, but the least biased we can get is the most ideal. But that doesn't happen nowadays because there's a narrative that needs to be pushed, and people are too soft to fight back.
And you get a lot of this information, like, well, this person's saying this, and this person's saying that, this person has this evidence, this person has that, and you can't know what. It gets harder to know what to trust because there's so much information, misinformation out there. That it becomes difficult to know who you need to be able to trust. Sometimes.
And there's no corroboration with the site, like in terms of science. There is no corroboration with the scientific community. You have all these different sources saying, I have this evidence, I have this evidence, I have this, I have that. But you don't have, like the scientific community operates by, okay, someone has a theory, or someone has, discovered something, or someone has created something, etc. And then that something is then put down on paper and is then peer reviewed to whether substantiated as being, yep, your site, you're on the money, this works, or no, this doesn't work, and here's why. And the problem is we are losing that substantially, where now science is no longer functioning as it's supposed to. It has, and this is not a knock against you guys. This is not a knock against you guys, but science is now starting to delve into the area of religion, where it's like basically the methodology in that, where it's again, I'm not knocking you on this, it's the closest parable I can come up with, so don't think I'm insulting anyone, guys, on this one. It's basically that science is basically turned into faith, essentially.
Ultimately it's credentialism, right? Like the supreme belief, well, these guys are credentialed, therefore they know. It's credentialism to some degree, which to a point, the credentials show a degree of understanding, but that doesn't mean that those with credentials can't be bought and paid for. It's credentialism, but it's
And it's also it's credentialism without the backing of other of peer reviews, or it's without it's credentialism without substance that has been in place for generations. Like science has been based on not only credentials, but also the backing of your peers, the backing of like hard and fast science that's been in play for years, that's been studied, that's been tested extensively with results being made public. That's how it used to be, and science is starting to move away from that to just trust me, bro. Essentially, I have a degree. I am we're basically we're turning, so science is turning into the Peter Venkman brand of science. Don't mess with you, man. Don't mess with me, man. I'm a scientist.
And to be fair, too, even peer review can be influenced by what's the word I'm looking for? Can be influenced by
money,
narrative, and money. Yeah. So because anyone can be because most people have a price, even that becomes difficult there.
Yeah, and that, like, I'm gonna not wax poetic on this because we were already going way off the rails on this one, but it's basically the purpose of science has been lost over the last, I'll say 20 years, just as a rough guess. The purpose of science has been lost in the last 20 years in the face of politics, ideology, and money.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Anyway, we got way off track. We should keep going.
Yeah.
Pain, by the way, another element of that is why people don't feel good about the Charlie thing. Why do we have so many influencers saying things? It's over. Why are you guys all using the same adjective? Can you switch it up? I'm overwhelmed. Like, chill. Like, you could say, I found some
kind
parts
like
compelling. I think this should go. I found some parts compelling. Maybe we should, see at the trial.
She's really getting him on language.
Swap's a buzzword for the counter industry.
But everyone on the same day of watching this trial, which was, I would say, not overwhelming at all. Nobody
he's more focused on
no one came in like
facts, and she's more focused on emotions.
In
this general,
that's kind of, from my understanding, that's kind of how it's always been. She's like, I'm going with my gut on this, and I'm going to ignore all the facts because my gut tells the truth. It's and from what I understanding, that's kind of been how she's been, facilitating her quote unquote journalistic career, is basically all on the fee-fees and not really looking at facts, or is only looking at facts that support her theories or conclusions and does not look at any facts that might counteract those.
For some reason, I have a strange craving for coffee.
But I do think it's enough to go to trial. They all came in like they were passing away and we're going to die from being overwhelmed.
Well, they're trusting their intuition.
Okay. Well, actually, in that scenario, they're looking at the preliminary hearing and have a reaction to it. It wasn't their intuition. But like I said, parking aside, just getting to the substance, parking aside, just a general intuition that sometimes might be second messages. Then we look at the filings, which came.
Holy crap, is she talking faster?
An extension saying, we have gone to the prosecution and we have requested all of this stuff in discovery. Yes, you are saying that you took Lance's phone, okay, and that you collected his phone on September 11th and that you sent it off or whatever. You took a picture of the text messages and we are being given these text messages to review. Crucially, Kathy Nestor said, I have not even been given access to my client's phone during this hearing. She said, I haven't even been given access to my client's phone. She can't tell you, as a part of their discovery request, it's not enough to say to me, Candace, I just got a text message from Candace, and I say, I didn't send that text message. Maybe that's what her client's saying. We don't know because we're not at the trial, right? Maybe he didn't send those messages. Could there be someone who logged into his Discord? Could there be someone who logged in to his Apple? George could be sending text messages right now. We are married. He has every login that I have. And remember, he's up for a death sentence. So if I'm able to sow reasonable doubt.
That would tag instantly. They'd be able to IP lock it. What she's saying is that, someone else could have logged into my account and sent those messages. The police or the FBI would have been able to backtrack the IP and know exactly where it came from and where these individuals were located when that occurred. So her entire argument.
It's one of those things that really needs to be brought out at trial, because it's like, okay, well, I do think the defense should have had access to the phone at the very least. I do think that is kind of fair to say the defense should have had access to the phone. Otherwise, this is one of the things that really needs to be delved into in trial, because
we can speculate all we want, but we're not going to have all the information until it happens.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of information that the public will not know about until it comes out in trial.
Yep.
And even then, who knows if we get absolutely everything? Who knows?
Yep.
With common sense, he may come during the trial, and when they actually have to address these points, say, I did not write those messages. I was here. Lance, my boyfriend, was logged into my phone, logged into my Apple ID and my iCloud, sending messages. I know that we have the capability because my husband does it. He has the capability to send messages from my phone. It is not convincing to the public.
That would be tagged.
When, for whatever reason, the FBI combined with the SBI, it was not the prosecution's fault. They made that clear during that hearing, would not allow them that discovery request to be able to see where did that message come from. Because you're saying my client was here, right? I want to know if that message actually was generated from his iPhone, when he was waiting to retrieve his, rifle, hoping that the pooch doesn't have a bad sniffer, like just weird messages. I want to make sure that, yes, it was actually him. He was holding his phone and his boyfriend didn't just log in to his computer when he was home. Lance was his boyfriend. That is a crucial fact.
They would have checked that.
That discovery was not met by the time we got to preliminary hearing. So I remain unconvinced by these text messages. Just as you feel convinced by them, I feel unconvinced by them.
Okay. So then the idea here is the reason that you don't think that these are valid text messages, and you don't, right?
It has not been proven that these messages are valid, and they don't sound valid to me. I don't think anyone, even if someone was selling
my feelings,
like I have a feeling,
pot on the corner,
came to me in a premonition,
write a full-fledged confession. He even
I went to a psychic.
I would get away with it, and
she saw it in a crystal ball.
To tell you until old age, and then we're being told that he wanted to commit suicide, and okay, but he just said he wanted to get away with it, but he's not smart enough to, I don't know, maybe not text it's such a confession like we've never seen. I think this would be like the first time ever somebody has start to finish written an entire, I'm in this surveillance footage and I'm here and I'm wearing my Converse. I'm being a little facetious here, but it was a little ridiculous. It didn't pass a sniff test for me.
You have kids. And you love them more than anything.
I do.
If it was the case that you thought that your kid was innocent, wouldn't you be out telling everybody and their brother that you thought that they were innocent? And also, wouldn't you maybe recant and say, hey, he didn't actually confess to me. He didn't actually.
How old was
none of this happened the way that the state is presenting it.
What would have prevented think he was 18?
Well,
18-year-olds are retarded. Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say that Tyler was 18, but I could be mistaken. If anybody knows differently, please say so.
Like fact check.
Yeah, somebody fact check really quick.
How old was the alleged
shooter? 22.
22. Okay, not that far off.
So he's probably like 23 right now. Yeah.
So a 22-year-old, she's trying to make him sound like he is some kind of criminal mastermind. He's 22. Not only is he 22, he's clearly not in his right mind to begin with.
I mean, considering who he's dating, I can say, yeah.
Well, considering who he's dating, considering his actions.
That too, yeah.
It's like she's like, I don't know where she's pulling this from, where she's acting like he's a criminal mastermind. Like, there's no way he would have done this full confession. Like, no, he's not. He would be too. He'd be too smart for that. Like, how could he possibly do this?
I see what she's saying. It's not that he's a criminal mastermind. It's more that someone else got in there and said these things. It's not that he was a mastermind. It's someone else. That's what she's saying. I get what she's saying there. Maybe, but there's not enough to really run with it.
But here's my counter argument. He's 22 years old. He's obviously already not in his right mind. He just committed a heinous criminal act where he took someone's life. He's not going to be. He's going to be even in a worse frame of mind. And so, him basically doing a full confession to his boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever this person is supposed to be, would make sense for someone that is basically like adrenaline. They're out of their head with emotion because what happened, and they basically just need to tell someone. They it's that basic human thing of I need to. As you guys could appreciate this, I need to confess my sins. This heavy act is weighing on me. I need to confess this to someone. And so he writes out this entire text to his girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, because of that guilty conscience. Like that, actually, we've seen that. That is not the first time that's happened. I would wager that there are countless times throughout the history of law enforcement that that people have done these full confessions, either verbally or in text. Before, it would have been people verbally talking to someone and just confessing it. Not a police officer, but a significant other, family member, a trusted friend, or something like that, and they will verbally just do a verbal diarrhea and confess everything that they did. Now, in the age of technology, we have text messages, so you don't actually have to be in the same room with this trusted person to do that quote-unquote verbal diarrhea and confess everything to that person. So it is not outside the realm of possibility at all.
Absolutely not.
This has never been seen before. I'm going to 100% call bullshit on that.
Absolutely. I'll agree with you absolutely there. Candace is definitely not going to make that argument for sure. She's like, but this is no. I can see where you're coming from, Candace, but...
Yeah, I can see where she's coming from. It's very convenient that he spilled his guts in a way that's very trackable, and
But
he
at
did
the
it
same
very
time,
concisely.
it would feel,
It's very, very
and I
convenient.
can get that. I get
borderline retarded to do that, but I don't put it above
your
these
right
people
mind,
to be
but
borderline retarded.
yeah, these people
But
are.
And I understand what you're saying, but I would wager that if you had access, if you had like a computer brain, it could access all of the police data across the country and look for cases where the suspect basically wrote a confession to someone else, someone in text message. I imagine that you would probably find thousands upon thousands of cases where a suspect did exactly what this guy did and confessed to someone in a text message.
For sure. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that either. I'm with you there.
But how many of those are like planned assassinations? Like
that even this I wouldn't even like honestly, Maria, I would wager more than a few probably.
More than a few.
When we're talking about someone that is not a professional, when we're talking about someone that is not a professional, which this kid wasn't, I would wager that more than a few did like this kid where like they planned a murder. They basically did a premeditated murder. And after they did it, because they were not an experienced killer, they confessed to someone either in person or via text, just like this guy did.
I think I get it. It's like, this guy was so stupid. How did he manage to pull it off? I get why people are questioning. It's like, this guy was so stupid. How did he manage to pull this off if he's this dumb? That's I think kind of the thing where people are raising an eyebrow, like, well, wait, if this guy was this dumb, how did he manage it? I think that's kind of the contention here. Is like people are like, well, this guy wasn't smart enough. If he managed to get this done, there's got to be some other explanation. Which, that's valid. It's always worth questioning. But that's kind of the reason why it also works either way.
How is he smart enough to pull it off and evade all these security people and the feds, because he was obviously plotting to do it?
Yeah.
How is he smart enough to pull that off, but so retarded that he admitted to it afterwards?
That's where the contention comes either way. It's like, well, he was an idiot and he just got lucky. Or the other is like, well, he's an idiot, maybe he had help. I get it.
He could have been an idiot, and the government took advantage, and they used potentially used him to clean it. But it's very possible that he was going to do it regardless. They took advantage.
Oh, for sure.
And now they're potentially framing him, but we don't know that. It could very much be that he did it. He got lucky, and he managed to evade everything.
Help, or it wasn't him.
And we also can't deny the fact that there could have just been a security failure, because, even though Titus Security has its own cracks and you can break through it somehow. And in a moment, and not lucky in the sense that some cause, maybe. Anyway, that's a Christian thought there, who could have been helping him in the dark.
Two things I can answer that, and if you watch my show, I keep telling you it's not vibes. So right after the shooting happened, Lance Twiggs, the FBI put him into a safe house they paid for. They went to the parents as well, to Matt Robinson and Amber, basically said, your life's at risk. There could be somebody who jumps up and wants to avenge Charlie Kirk, and we're going to watch you. And they went into a federal safe house. What happened next is that they started thinking that the feds were maybe gonna, maybe not as honest as they thought. And
how do you know any of that?
So you gotta watch the show, right?
Yeah, no. How do you know that?
I had a source within the Robinson family.
You have a source, an anonymous source.
Oh God!
So there's no way for us to verify that what you're saying right now is actually even true.
Do you find it to be reliable hearsay?
No, I don't find it to be reliable at all. It's just a source.
I'm just doing what the prosecution
What you're doing is
did.
a cool story.
It's
you're
not
giving,
cool.
Okay,
Candace.
You must have hated watching me.
Snarkiness is not helping your case.
No, it's like there's a difference between a prosecution utilizing hearsay in a legitimate way and someone like Candace Owens literally just doing a trust me, bro.
Yeah.
That is literally what she did. She literally pulled out a trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. I
have a source.
Okay, you're gonna have to
I have a source
explain a little bit more than that. For people to take you
with a confidential source in the Robinson family. There's what, 2 people?
Which one?
So it's one of two people. How fucking confidential is a confidential source when there's two people? No, the source says she made it the fuck up. Oh my God.
You're giving us a cool story.
Wait,
you're saying that according to your sources, that the reason that the parents haven't recanted any of this.
Recanted what? They have no statement from the parents.
Wait, I just want to make sure that if it was the case, it was being reported in mainstream media that your father came to you and said, hey, is this you? What's going on here? And then he and one of his buddies took you in where you turned yourself in. You wouldn't go out and be like, no, that's not what happened.
That isn't what happened, though. You're just wrong on this.
Okay, maybe I'm paraphrasing. What am I wrong on?
So what is your, sorry, just so I'm clear, where is your evidence that the parents turned him in?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
You said there's the mainstream media?
I said with a sheriff friend.
Yes.
But the father did confront him.
The father confronted what?
Tyler Robinson.
And where did you learn this? That the Tyler confronted him?
Well, I mean, that's part of the official documents. Our fact checkers can pull that up. But yes.
But I'm saying,
yes,
when
please
you say
pull it
official
up.
documents, do you mean you saw this on CNN or you saw this play out in the hearing?
No, that's one of the things that I went through in fact check pre-debate.
Are you talking about like the charging documents?
I think it was it could have been in the charging documents, but we can pull them up.
No.
And yes, are you disputing this?
Do we have that on the back to pull it up?
I can already tell you what you're talking about, the charging documents, because this is where we had to figure out where this story came from, because everyone was operating under the assumption that Matt Robinson turned him in. Until we got to the preliminary hearing and we understood, like I said, even for that, when you are charging someone, you can use hearsay. It's all probative, right?
Sure.
Nothing. So they didn't have statements. It's not like Matt Robinson, even though he was interviewed that night. Amber Robinson was interviewed that night by a Fed, separate rooms. Tyler Robinson was interviewed by a Fed. They did not produce statements saying, my son did this. I believe my son did this. But what happened was they did interviews, but also the crucial person here who you just brought up is Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell is the biggest unknown in this entire case. Everyone keeps saying they heard from Mike Mitchell this, they heard from Mike Mitchell that. So when the person wrote up the report that night, and it was Brian Davis who wrote up what became the charging document, he after they transported Tyler Robinson from the Washington Sheriff's County office up to, I think it's Salt Lake City. I think it was 4 a.m. in the morning that they got up there. He then writes the what becomes a charging document. So he's basically saying, we all spoke to a bunch of people and here's the information that we got, right? We've not seen that. So it could have come from Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell could be saying,
I don't know how this negates the point, though. Why
it
wouldn't
truly
the
negates
parents?
the point, because you don't have a statement from the parents.
Yeah,
you are going.
Why wouldn't they just correct the
it's not correcting.
misinformation?
That doesn't negate the point. The point is that we now got the.
That is the point. She's deliberately avoiding his question. She is absolutely deliberately avoiding his question, where he is simply saying, if this is incorrect, why would the parents not go out there and publicly say, this is incorrect, this is wrong? Because apparently they have not done that. And she is duck, dive, dodge, and dodging around this very simple question. She can't respond to it.
Money to shut up.
I mean, that fear, not wanting to be in the public eye.
Your son for? How much would you sell your son?
Here's the thing, fear, we just don't have all the facts and all the conversations present, and we don't know what their lawyers might be suggesting. They might be telling them to be quiet, not to have anything public for the time being while the investigation goes and they get all their evidence together. We don't know that.
Well, I would offer a counterpoint to that, which is like you saying, like that maybe, we don't know what's in their heads. We don't know what their lawyers are telling them. If they are being misquoted in the public by the news media, if the news media is saying that the parents turned in their son, and they did not do that, or if the news media is saying the parents basically said that he admitted to them that he did it, and that was not true, I can guarantee you, any lawyer would be perfectly fine with the parents going public and saying, "This is what has been circulating online. It is not true. We did not turn him in. He did not confess to us. Nothing like that." Because the fact that that's out there is, and it's not being denied, that can also potentially be used in court. That did he confess? It would not harm his case if the parents came out publicly and said, no, he did not confess to us, no, we did not turn him in, that would not harm his case, if true, if they came out publicly and said that. And I think that's where Andrew's sticking point is that if this was not true, why would the parents not correct the public record? Because it would only benefit them, where they are correcting the record so that the untruths, because the record right now is the parents knew because he confessed to him, and so they turned him in. So obviously then they knew. And, and essentially they would want to correct that, at least in the public eye, because that misinformation could invariably make its way into the court system. And there's no lawyer that would have an issue with them correcting a matter of public record like that. The fact that she's dancing around that, how they have not done so, therein lies the problem. It's like, well, if this is untrue, then why have they not offered a correction? Why has the lawyer not offer? Like they don't have to make the correction publicly. Their lawyer could come out and publicly say that no, they did not turn him in. No, he did not confess it. The lawyer could do that. They don't even need to do it themselves. They don't need to correct the record themselves. What he's saying is that the public record has not been corrected, and that's a problem. And Candace can't address that. She has no means of addressing that.
There's no substantial evidence. Yeah, but I would say let's continue. I definitely want to see what she says here.
Okay.
Preliminary hearing. If the parents were the ones who said, I'm turning my son in because he's guilty.
I didn't say they turned him in.
I think you're talking about the over. You said it's been the narrative. Everybody's known this. The narrative initially, which I think you agree with, was that, Matt Robinson knew his kid was guilty and turned him into the police station. What actually happened in terms of Sheriff Brooksby, who was present there and gave a press conference, what happened was this Mike Mitchell character essentially peer pressured him, and we can get a fact check on this. We can find Sheriff Brooksby's press conference. And he said, they know it's you and you're going to come in peaceably, or people are going to be banging down your door. He was a undercover cop, which I don't like that. I don't know what he did undercover. It's very hard to find anything about Mike Mitchell, but he worked with them for 20 plus years, the police officers. The reason why Tyler Robinson knew him was because he lived nearby and he was also his Boy Scout leader.
How does this negate that the parents could write this second? And by the way, if you had the evidence, I'm going to address that point. I'm
just saying that your first point, which is that the parents did this. Yeah. We don't know that the parents.
I didn't say that they did ever. Never happened.
You're quoting the parents as having said. You said that Matt Robinson said that his kid was. Did you say involved? I don't want to misquote you.
Confronted him about it.
Confronted him.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that we have not seen any evidence that is true.
We can fact check that.
Okay.
Because we do have evidence.
And I'm saying it's the charging doc, which could have been derived from a statement Mike Mitchell said.
Two things I have ready in the back. One is the charging doc, and the other one is a video of Kathy Nestor saying she hasn't seen Tyler's phone.
Okay, we can run Kathy to go back, and then just go backwards to Kathy first in court saying she didn't get her client's phone. Yeah, and then I think we'll go to the. If you're okay with that,
thing not in dispute. These are all things that I'm not even disputing.
Okay, so we don't have to show it.
We never get to the thing that I am disputing.
Well, I was just providing an answer. We were coming back in from a break because you were talking about the text messages as something that you felt was concrete. So it was just my rebuttal to you that it's not.
Okay, I this has been bugging me. I have to say something. I hate the moderator's shoes. Why is he wearing a suit and wearing sneakers with it?
Look,
why? This has been bugging the crap out of me this whole time. He's wearing a full-blown suit.
They're comfy, I guess.
See, I would do the
sneakers.
You're not gonna like me then, because I would do the same thing.
They're comfy, I guess. No,
I don't want you to look at my feet. That's fine. My thing. But
it's just you're going through this whole rigmarole of I want to look professional. I'm moderating a podcast. I'm going to wear a full suit. With sneakers, like not even like black bottom sneakers, so it blends in. You can kind of trick the camera a little bit, so it looks like it.
A gay theory on that. Yeah, what are those?
So maybe he wasn't aware of the exact camera positioning, or he figured, okay, maybe my feet will be off, and then at some point he realized, oh, maybe okay, whatever. It's entirely possible he didn't know the exact camera angle they'd use initially, so he figured, okay, my feet will be cut off, most likely.
I have doubts. I have doubts. Okay, I'm not going to harp on this because we're going into freaking orbit on this one. I doubt it, because with something like this, they would have double checked and triple checked all the camera positionings with stand-ins to see where the camera was lined up. He knew exactly where the cameras were positioned and what they would capture. It's just
before or after he chose the shoes, though.
It's
Also,
fine that he's wearing
manspreading?
them. It's just the total look. It just bugged me. It's like, dude, you're wearing a suit. You could have at least worn sneakers with black bottoms, so it looked like you're pretending to wear nice shoes.
Oh, agreed.
Sorry. That just it bugged me.
Not concrete because they haven't had a chance to actually answer that.
Yeah, and his pants don't fit him well either.
So that's
pants right up.
Girl.
State saying these messages.
No, you're right. You're right.
You don't get.
I'll give you that 100%.
Messages just yet. She will during trial. They will actually get
Don't you
discovered in
think
the
that
messages.
would make the
pants, my
case
friend.
fall apart if it was the case that they weren't able to actually pull the data off the text messages? Do you think the prosecution would go to court with fabricated text messages?
It's called winners and losers. They may not
Amber's
be
just
fabricated.
mad
But by the way,
that
as
the
what they
moderator
are
Wait.
has
saying,
more
like I
drip
said,
than
if
her.
Wait, based on what Andrew just asked, is he insinuating that Candace is implying that the prosecution's fabricating evidence? Because I'll back it up. I'll back it up a couple seconds here. Listen to what Andrew says when they're talking about this. He asks, like, "Are you implying that they are fabricating evidence?" And she doesn't say no.
Text messages. Do you think the prosecution would go to court with fabricated text messages?
It's called winners and losers. They may not be fabricated, but by the way, as what they are saying, like I said, if there was somebody logged into his phone, they may not be fabricated. That's the point.
So let's get to the
They just
let's
could
get
be
to
somebody else.
The parents fact check.
Yeah. So
I think, okay, real quick, I think she realized that was a stupid thing to say on her initial response, and then backtracked by saying maybe it wasn't fabricated, and it was going back to her conspiracy theory that someone else got into it. But you notice her initial response after, you think that the prosecution went with fabricated evidence? It's called winners and losers. That means she does think that the prosecution fabricated evidence, but then realized, oh, like in a split second, she managed to realize, oh, that was a really stupid thing to say. I should backtrack on that. And then pivoted to, well, maybe it was my other conspiracy theory.
I was saying, I believe what you're talking about was derived from the charging doc, which was signed off by Brian Davis.
Let's pull it up.
Let's see if that's correct.
There we go.
What are we looking at
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in a
here?
little bit?
Is this the charging
I
doc?
can't see it. Robinson's
yes.
father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle, which makes sense with the text messages. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home.
Yes. So this is proving my point. This is from the charging document, correct?
I guess if he did plan to take his own life, it wouldn't matter if he did like a full confession.
Yeah.
If he planned to do that and just got intercepted, basically.
Viewed on that night. Mike Mitchell got interviewed, Amber Robinson got interviewed, and Matt Robinson got interviewed. Of the three of them, only one of them actually wrote a statement, which was referred to in this preliminary trial. He came in, I believe, in March, Mike Mitchell, and he wrote a statement, which I find to be very shady that they decided to bring.
But why aren't the parents disputing that?
No. Well, first off,
that's the question I've been asking.
The parents are not going to ever play in court. Play to the cameras in court when they have a legal team that is going to be advising them not to speak to the court because your son could go to prison
but
forever.
They're playing to somebody else who's your source.
I'm not going to address that.
They're playing to someone else who's your source, but won't go publicly tell the media this is not true.
Well, what I did not say that. I just said I have a source, so I want to be very clear and take it from somebody who is involved and permanently sued.
I totally have a source that I will refuse to name.
Lawyer.
Exactly. Again, she is literally just, she is doing the to basically to pull a line from Leaflet. She's casting spell, trust me, bro. She casts trust me, bro. It was not effective. Okay, so it's Leaflet plus Pokemon. There you go.
There's advice. I mean, there's so many things that I want to respond to when people are speaking about.
Yeah, but it's bizarre that they would utilize a source which would get the information to you, but wouldn't just go to the media and be like, actually, that's all wrong.
I am telling you that you would find a lawyer who would advise you to go to the media.
No, but the lawyer themselves could go to the media and say, this is untrue.
She casts talk no jutsu.
No, that's a different thing entirely.
That's good. What's that?
That's a different thing entirely. Talk no juice is about getting someone to turn around and change their ways entirely.
True. Yeah, like I wish Andrew would basically press her on this. Like, okay, so no lawyer would tell them to go say this to the press. Why didn't the lawyers themselves go to the press and correct the public record? The lawyers could do that and do it in a way that would not disrupt the case for their client.
True.
I don't think he's going to, but I hope he presses on that.
My sources, the voices in my head told me it was true after I stopped taking my medicine.
Oh, this mother,
especially when your son
if I thought that my kid
was up for death.
If I thought that my kid was in any way, shape, or form going to be up, you couldn't shut me up. Or my wife, she would be like, "That's not true. That's ridiculous. There's no possible. That never happened. These people are lying through their teeth. They'd be public whether they like it or not."
Yeah, that's for you and your wife. But when a judge issues a gag order in a case and your son is up for death, and your lawyers could be advising you that if you say anything, you could blow the case, you would have a more responsible consideration.
I see.
And so then the lawyers could do it.
Speaking opinion here, you're like, well, I wouldn't care. I'd violate it, and I'd violate the judge's orders and see what would happen.
If you have a source, it seems like they're violating it with them.
I didn't.
Sources, trust me, dude.
Got her.
But let's see, maybe she'll drop a source here.
He just did a gotcha pitch. If there's a source, because remember, the source is within the family. Just remember that her source was is within the Robinson family. So they've already done it, and she's refusing to admit that. And now we have our introduction. Now we know why he's wearing those. They're the branded shoes. That's why he's wearing the shoes. He's shilling their shoe company. That's why he's wearing them. The mystery has been solved. The mystery has been solved. That's why he's wearing those fucked up shoes with that ill-fitting suit that the pants are too short.
Though. He needs better pants.
I know, dude. Get a tailored pair of pants, for God's sake. I can see your calves. They're not attractive.
If you're gonna do that, at least wear some like nice statement socks.
Relevant.
Well, hey, look, pause it. We have an ad here for shoes. Let's get him some sneaks.
Gotta get them OB shoes.
Any that statement that is included in this charging document,
FLB shoes, and you too can look like an idiot on a podcast.
Hearing that all came from Mike Mitchell, and Mike Mitchell would be a part. He's
based
saying,
on the statements of
it's
parents.
him saying the parents told me this. The parents could dispute that. That's going to come down the line, right? They're going to be able to seat the parents. I will say this, putting together context clues. If the state had it on, 100% certainty that Matt Robinson and Amber Robinson said it, a 5-day preliminary hearing would be a good time to say we have enough evidence. And I can tell you why Matt Robinson made this statement, and here is his statement that he signed. That would have been a good time to present that evidence.
That would also be a good time for the defense to say that's just totally fabricated.
No, it's not. It's the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
That is completely the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
Because what they're doing is they already said they didn't receive discovery. They literally can't. They literally can't because they can't. They did not receive discovery.
You're saying that they didn't receive that information?
No. They just received the text messages. But in order to...
That's not the text messages.
The probative information.
Yeah, we're talking about the information that we just reviewed. That's not the text messages.
They never presented it. The state never put it on.
Yeah, they didn't. The defense could easily still have presented this. Yeah.
No.
They could have said they're
no.
They're not allowed to. Are you sure?
In a preliminary hearing,
yeah.
the defense is engaging with whatever evidence the state decides to put on. They did not put this on as evidence. Brian Davis was up there.
So they're not allowed to present anything?
They're responding to the state's evidence.
I'm asking, are they allowed to present anything?
They are allowed to say...
Like if there was a conspiracy that they could prove right then and there, would they present that in one of these hearings?
No, it wouldn't be the right time for that.
I disagree. I think that they not only could do it, but they would do it. In fact, when I talked in depth with my attorney, they said that's exactly, if you had actual evidence that there was fabrications by the feds, that's exactly when you would introduce that.
So when in the document
can you pretend to be a lawyer and tell me how this do be?
Like, she's just vomiting up all this gobbledygook, and Andrew just from the top row. I talked to my lawyer before we did this and asked him, could they present evidence? And the lawyer is like, yeah, this is exactly when they would do it. And she's still going. She's still going. Oh my God. And this is what I was talking about, where she's just going to keep barreling ahead because she has to keep barreling ahead, because if she acquiesces at all, her entire position tanks, her entire reputation tanks.
Yesterday or a couple of days ago, the appropriate, like what you're doing at this stage of the hearing is the state is saying we have enough evidence that we think this needs to go forth to trial. Hence the reason that there's this extraordinary, we allow hearsay because it doesn't really need to be perfect. It can be enough that we feel like we can move forward, right? And okay, I disagree with that in general when somebody's rotting in prison, but whatever. The next phase is for them to meet in court and for the defense to essentially present an argument to the state that says, we find this filing to be defective in and of itself. We don't even have to defend ourselves because you, the state, have enough, you know what the laws are on the books, and this filing is defective and you should get rid of these charges because they don't make sense based on what you can decide based on a law on the books. So then that's why they then file the dismissal. Right. So in the dismissal, what they're doing is they are engaging, and this is what was widely misinterpreted.
Well, yeah, they're engaging as though as it's a hypothetical. If this is hypothetically true, then
so
X.
they're saying all of these charges.
I'm not disputing any of that.
So that's what you're asking. Why you're saying could they just
what I'm asking specifically is like who could shut parents up who are like, no way, there's no possible. This never happened. This is ridiculous. They would be shouting it on CNN. They would be shouting it from the rooftops. They would be losing their minds. And you're like.
Okay, that's a bit disingenuous. Like I will agree with Candace with what Candace was saying, where the legal team might tell them don't do it. You know, Andrew might pivot to the point where it's like, well, they might ignore their legal team, but like Candace did make a correct point. Like, okay, the legal team would tell them don't talk to reporters because it could impinge upon the case. But again, not going to the salient point of the lawyer can do it for them and it will not hurt the case. And I wish you would press her on that part because that makes more sense. Andrew's kind of losing the plot a little bit here. Going where he's talking about
where are we right now, by the way?
Would be shooting it from,
Where are we time-wise, by the way? Because I feel like at this point they've talked and my criticism, both of them, is they've just talked past each other at this point.
Yeah.
And I think they both tuned each other out. So
I'm getting like we are including that first. No, we are at about halfway because there's breaks involved in there and everything.
Yeah.
And I'd say we are roughly at the halfway mark.
I just
my question. What are some of the comments under this? I'm so curious.
I've been sending you guys some stuff in chat that they've been saying, like people have been commenting on X, and
I've never seen BPD so quiet. Andrew's foot needed a nicotine patch. Here for the comments. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Had me rolling. BPD just sitting there. Mercy landed my Egyptian blank to watch this. He wasn't ready. I can explain
it. I just want to sell shoes.
Andrew have smoked a whole pack. Legend has it that his legs are still shaking. Where's the poll? The comments in here are like nothing. There's the comments are nothing. I don't know. Like I will defer to you guys if you want to continue. Like if they are just gonna keep talking past one another at this point, it's gonna stop turning into a debate, and it's gonna basically turn into how fast can Candace talk.
I think at this point there's like, and I'm not saying that there isn't a point to finishing the whole thing, but I think this middle part here is just way too much talking past, and I don't really think they're gonna get anywhere. I have a feeling by the end they don't really get anywhere.
I don't either. Like Maria, you said you guys pre-watched this a little bit to give us some guidance. Would there be a good point to jump to?
There's a break coming up. I know after this, after this, there was a break coming up. I know because that's when we left to get some errands done. Why don't we jump past the next upcoming break and see if there's anything worthwhile?
Okay, yeah.
After this.
Okay, yeah, because the break is coming up in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll jump past the break, see if we can get to anything salient. All right, there we go. We'll jump past the break here. See if we get anything worthwhile after the break.
Andrew, before we go into the other issues you want to talk about, is it fair to say you're good defending your position of the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. You take the lead. Go for it.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of questions for you, and I want to make it super painless, right? So no traps, no gotchas. I'm just going to ask them direct, and I think that as long as they're not loaded, if they're loaded, you should not respond yes or no.
Oh, wait, someone in my chat is saying towards the end of that entire kerfuffle that we just get past, she basically says, I don't want to get into legal trouble discussing it. And that was her entire point.
Interesting.
That was that whole back and forth of her dancing around stuff, refusing to answer questions, ends with, I don't want to get into legal trouble.
I legally can't.
Yes, she could have said that from the very beginning.
That
would have been the better thing to do.
Investigations.
Yeah.
Like, I have these sources. I hope that you can trust me at my word. But
Unfortunately,
this is the reason I can't tell you.
Especially not her.
Yeah. Yeah. So
If it
that's
were
so
me,
for
I'm like,
anybody.
oh, I have secret sources, but I can't.
That would have been the
legally,
best thing to start with. Like, legally, I have sources, I can't disclose these. That would have been the best thing to do from the get-go instead of all this dancing. Like,
well, hyperbole, ad hominem, etc., etc. Yeah.
Just do the Fauci defense.
Kinda, yeah.
No, but as long as they're not loaded, if I just directly ask them, I'm hoping that you'll just give me a direct answer. So here's the questions that I have.
Wait, before we get into that, I would like to just reply to that. So just to be clear,
oh God,
our claims, and then I agreed publicly that I have no issues having a conversation with you about other things that I've discussed that were outside of the court hearing and things like other evidence that's come across our lap and things that we've been speaking about. But I just do want to make it clear to viewers that for whatever reason you think that you have a right to sort of depose me.
I'm not deposing you. I just want to ask you some questions.
But you literally said that I want to be able to question you.
Well, this is a meta conversation.
Right,
we're having
but
a meta
okay, so
debate.
now we're transcending. Like, let's use a word to use a word that you're
Are we serious right now? Are we serious? She's literally taking issue with him calling her out on her bullshit.
Yeah.
Because she knows she can't defend it.
I am in pain.
Oh, no.
I am in pain.
Oh, no.
This is what you're doing, right?
Okay.
So this part to me feels like a bit of
am I allowed to ask the questions?
I've already said you can ask questions,
Then
but I made it clear to you via email.
Do it.
But by the way, just as a reminder, she questioned him earlier and then wouldn't even let him answer because she continually talked over him. Just as a reminder, she's taking an issue with him asking her questions, saying, you're deposing me, when she did that to him earlier. And then after asked the questions, talked over him and wouldn't let him answer.
Projection.
Yep.
With you in conversation that we should be speaking. This
Yeah,
isn't
I know,
like
but
you
I
get to
wanna-
sit.
I wanna ask
I'm
you
losing the
questions.
few brain cells I got left. Help.
This
But
is
you're
part-
like, I'm
this
just
is
going
a
to ask questions.
legitimate
Can you
part-
answer it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're going to ask.
I know.
To
And
answer
if you
as I
have
see
issues
fit
with it,
because I'm not.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get
okay,
it.
just so we're clear. 'cause-
Usually in the debate, if something's not loaded, I'm just direct with it.
Because you kept saying,
She's front, what she's doing is she's front loading. She's front loading her defense right now to basically not answer his questions. By doing like, I didn't know you were going to depose me. So she's actually she's doing like preloading her defense to not answer anything that he asks her and basically not debate in good faith.
I'm Joe Rogan. They have no evidence. They have no evidence. And now you're like, let's move away from the evidence.
You
Let's talk about
actually,
transcendentals.
okay.
Her evidence seems
so
strong at
direct
this
question,
point.
super
Did we
easy.
figure
Was
that out?
Lance Twiggs DNA on the rifle, as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know.
Dear
I already
Lord.
answered that in the first part. We can't say that for certainty. I told you the context.
She's Fauciing it.
So no,
Yeah.
as far as you know.
She's literally going to Fauci it.
So we know what other the five sets of prints were on.
So that
there.
would be no as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say no as far as I know for certain.
He has a
We
point.
can't say that for certainty. I actually,
You can say
just so
that
you
for
know,
certainty.
if your energy here is going to be like you're my dad and you can tell me how to. Speak
Oh
what
my
I'm supposed to say,
God.
you're just going to come up against the wall. I'm
Okay.
familiar with this debate strategy.
But I am just
Yes or no,
telling
yes or
you.
no, yes or no. We're not debating anymore. We're having a conversation. So I already addressed that in the first half of this about why.
That's why I
We're still
can't
definitely
stand
debating.
women.
This is still
No, it's not a debate.
This is
Now
inclined
this
to
is
your
you saying I want to probe
Yeah.
things that sit outside of the evidence. I actually already
That you've
addressed this.
stated.
You asked me.
He just
You're
asked
not
a
going to
simple
go like you're
Okay.
sitting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not.
This is why I
Okay, great.
said
So
she's
let's
front loading her defense.
Let's
as
talk
we've
about
agreed to.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's why I
Guys,
was
can we
told
get a
I
women
handed
in
over that
chat?
information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
Positive evidence.
We're not debating Candace Owens
was
in the
told to
middle
you
of a
by
debate.
somebody who is high up in the French government.
Yeah.
I passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I
Really?
also passed it off
This
to
is where we're
Tulsi's
going?
office.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government. And I would also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do,
not the federal
which
government.
is when people say, this, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government
Candace, you're
body
missing your tinfoil hat. I think you forgot it at home.
Emmanuel Macron's bank account and say whether or not
I'm gonna
the
need some
information-
melatonin.
But then
after
you go,
this.
That's the case of, like,
Conco.
my evidence is that
If the person who told her that was legit, then it's like, okay, there's something to say there. But that's if.
Yeah, like, and it's, and I think I know why Andrew asked her this question. Is he's doing it for social reasons to basically show the audience that she's full of shit. That's why he asked the question, because she's refusing to answer anything about the case. So he asked her this question because he knew she would answer it because she's talked about it ad nauseum on her show. So he asked her this specifically so she would do the verbal diarrhea to show everyone that she is completely full of shit.
Okay. Checks out then.
Somebody calls and says, hey, Andrew, there's a viable death threat against you. And that person definitively has the rank to be able to tell you this. And you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report that to the feds. And then I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's what I did.
Got it. I just want to make sure. So I'm not trying to trap you.
Well,
I just want to make sure I got it clear.
And that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always been the thing. It's like,
Don't make me side with Andrew freaking.
So we're just going to go and bring up everything that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported exactly
I'm not
as I
trying to
received
embarrass
it.
you. I just want to make sure that I get your positions clear.
I have not said, yeah, go ahead.
And now you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Can you give me...
Yes, we can pull up the clip. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why people think that Israel's involved? Okay. Where's your question?
Yeah. Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I would say that there are various things that we're trying to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive because he was fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about with him, nor do I believe that he was, so into LGBTQ issues, since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he...
There, he's a trans furry. Of course they spoke about LGBT issues.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you cannot be a trans furry and not be deep into LGBT issues, so to speak. It's not possible. And in addition, what am I correct? Like, there was word that like Tyler was very Antifa. Like he spoke.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
he
for
was
sure.
like very vocally
For
Antifa.
sure.
And like Charlie Kirk was one of Antifa's #1 targets. So I mean, hello.
He stopped.
I mean, that's a
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna add to that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't deny he got some help, and it's very possible that he got help from those groups. It might not have even been this current administration at all. It could have been people from previous administrations who are very supportive of Antifa. So, there's a lot of nuance that we can have with this conversation on which side and who's really pulling the strings. Yeah. I don't think it's this current administration. I don't think this current administration want him gone. It was definitely the previous one.
I mean, one could argue Israeli motive in terms of like him, dropping his Israel support with the donors and all that. One could say, sure, okay, so he turns the support away, so they want to do harm to him. That's fine, but there's not enough there at this point to where it's like you can say definitively they definitely, absolutely, for sure did this. Like, well,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my lord, this head
it's enough to raise an eyebrow, but it's not enough to point a finger.
Yeah,
that's fair.
There you go. Yeah, that's legitimate right there. Yes.
Into LGBTQ issues wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues, because
but do you have positive evidence?
I'm answering the question as I feel like I want to answer it. Like I said, you don't get to for an hour.
I just feel like I want to answer it this way. So
you notice what she was just saying. He's looking for an answer, and her response is, "I'm answering it the way I feel I want to answer it, i.e., tap dance all around it." This is not a debate in good faith.
I mean, I've been saying that since like the 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
This is not a good.
Yeah, for sure.
This whole thing, honestly,
I'm thinking we give it a little bit more time, and then we're gonna pull shoot.
I'm not gonna lie.
If we don't see an improvement, if we don't see an improvement in the next like 5 or 10 minutes, I think we're pulling shoot on this one.
I think we need to. I would have pulled the plug
just
like
skip to
20
5
minutes
to
ago.
10
I'm gonna be honest,
minutes
just based on
later in
that.
the video.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Different.
We'll give it like 5 minutes. We'll give it like 5 minutes, and then if you want, stick around. I have a couple of things that we can do that we can watch that will be much nicer to watch if you're interested.
I've got things that I need to do the rest of the night, but
True.
I will
Theo still has a lefty mindset.
Okay.
Feelings don't
I mean, we're always talking like I've
got bottles upon bottles of alcohol to chug after this experience.
Well, that's tomorrow. It's not today.
No. It's
we have a birthday to celebrate tomorrow,
today.
so.
Yes, I heard.
Give me patience.
All right, we'll give it 5 minutes to see if there's anything sailing.
I'm telling you that in any case, establishing a motive and and again, I already explained this at the top of the show, but the reason why people find Israel to be an interesting question is because truthfully, Charlie's perspectives were changing on Israel.
Sure.
And he was starting to realize how much pressure was being on not just our government to constantly fight their wars, but also being put on his organization personally. If people had come out and been...
It's valid, but it's not enough.
Celestium?
It was the use. They took my use. It was the use.
It was the large people.
She still has yet to present evidence. We'll give her 5 minutes to present evidence. Other than that, we're basically just ringing the bell.
Honest about that, rather than rabid claiming he never flinched and everybody's lying and this is not true. You would probably have people that just go, that's life. People change their opinions.
I understand.
And then there was the rabid, I mean, not even that. It's like everything was about trying to convince the public how much he liked it.
So then other than intuition, how you feel about things, do you have any evidence Israel was involved in killing Charlie Kirk?
I have already said, and if you're watching my show and the context of what I said, this is the general sense of why people think Israel's involved. Nobody has made the claim that is
no evidence.
There were also, obviously
Ian
Joe
Carroll
Kent
made the claim.
Well, Joe Kent, who I think would have the right to assert it, noted that there were 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground that day. I think most people would like to probe that. Now, it could be maybe they were students, and they were Israeli students in Utah that day. But we'd like to probe that narrative because what we've seen after coming from the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister, kind of denying that he did it, which wasn't really necessary. He was quite busy. The phone call that happened, which no one wants to discuss in the Hamptons the week prior, or not the week prior, I think it was around August 5th or 6th that took place. And again, the almost desperate lies about Charlie shifting opinion on Israel lead us to believe that there could be an Israeli angle in this. We cannot.
But only could.
Certainty.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing, and before anybody says in chat, oh, you guys are supporting the U's, no one's denying that it's possible that they were in there. But let's be honest, these world leaders, it's not just them, it's a bunch of other world leaders too, man. Like, oh my gosh.
And the fact is we are looking for evidence. We're not looking for conjecture. We're not looking for hyperbole. She just said something about there were 12 Israeli phones on the ground at the scene. I'm sorry, we're talking about Mossad here. Do you really think Mossad is going to be so lazy and so bad at their job that they're going to leave not one, not two, but 12 phones on the ground at the scene that could be connected back to them?
I think it may have been.
They're playing 5D chess, Ember. They're 5,000 steps ahead of you, Ember. They put the evidence there so you would think it's fake. And that.
Those 12
literally
were promised to them 3,000 years ago.
Chat, if you think that this is a fully serious debate, this is edutainment here, and we're just
and honestly, at this point, the entertainment factor has worn. The entertainment factor has indeed worn. I think we're gonna basically call it. She's not gonna say anything worth. She's gonna dodge every question Andrew asks her. We're not doing this. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. We gave her 5 minutes. She couldn't do shit. So I'm gonna kill the stream in the Discord, and I'm going to kill the stream kill the video in the stream. We're done.